is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Jeremy Lee in the building and every guest that you ever needed. Sports cards after hours keep the hobby heated. Updates, hobby talk like you never seen it. Sports cards live and none could ever beat it. Sports cards is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Welcome to another episode of Sports Cards Live with your host, Jeremy Lee.
All right, everybody, what is up? Welcome to episode number 317 of Sports Cards Live. It is Saturday night, June the 20th, 2026. My name is Jeremy Lee. Welcome, everybody. A few quick announcements. Tomorrow night here on the channel, Fanatics Collect weekly auction ending watch party is back. Come join us here tomorrow night. It's going to be fun. And there may be a little bit of extra spice to it because of Collect Originals, the new exclusive content I'm creating over on Fanatics, but we'll get to that a little bit more later. Guys, if you are looking to sell your vintage collection, reach out to our good buddy Leighton Shelton of Just Collect at leighton@justcollect.com. He's always looking to purchase your vintage collections. Auctionwire.ai, one of Leighton's companies, or he's a partner in, is now a proud sponsor here of Sports Cards Live. If you go to auctionwire.ai, they will track your safe searches across all the auction companies, and you can get a 60-day free trial using promo code SCL. Guys, Mint Inc. Mint Inc. is a local card shop up here in Canada in the Greater Toronto area. They do deliver the ultimate hobby experience, from live whatnot streams and auctions to grading breaks, the two full retail stores. They do it all. They're buying collections 7 days a week. You can click in the video description link below. Use promo code SCL5 to save 5% off your first purchase. They do ship worldwide. You can shop online anytime. Mint Inc., where collecting comes to life. And guys, the Front Row Card Show is in Phoenix not this weekend, next weekend, June 27th and 28th. 650 tables, a major show in Phoenix for the Front Row Card Show. Visit frontrowcardshow.com for more show dates and locations. And also on Monday, 2 nights from now, Dan Bliss, the founder, the president of the Front Row Card Show, will be joining us here on the channel for the 3rd episode of From the Front Row. We'll be playing Catch Release, and we are welcoming his vendor. We are bringing on Brian Marcy of Scottsdale Sports Cards. Will be joining us on Monday here on the channel. That's going to go live at 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern. Guys, grading's expensive. It ties up your time, your money. Nowadays, they keep your cards for months and months and seasons, but you can get it right with Mr. Minty, offering a full line of 100% substance-free pre-grading supplies, grading preparation and evaluation services, and concierge drop-off and pickup from PSA and BGS, designed to help collectors save time and money in the expensive grading process. You can meet Mr. Minty in person at Fanatics Fest, the West Coast Card Show, and the National in the new dealer section upstairs. For more information, go to mrminty.com. Save 25% off product using code SCL25. Happy collecting and keep it minty. And guys, Chronosio, we're going to tell you today about their hobby store Cards to Cash program. If you are a hobby store, you can give your customers an easy way to turn their card collections into cash while creating a new revenue stream for your store. You can earn a 10% commission on every bundle sold. There's no inventory required. Chronosio will ship the package straight to your customers, and it will help collectors scan, identify, organize, and sell their collection online, or their cards online, using AI. There are 2 available bundles. The regular bundle is about $250, and the Pro bundle is about $1,500. Both bundles include everything collectors need to quickly inventory and sell their trading cards online. You promote Cards to Cash in your store. Your customer purchases the bundle. Chronosio ships directly to the customer. You earn a commission, no inventory, no fulfillment, no risk. If you are interested in becoming a retail partner, a reseller partner of Chronosio, contact Jonathan at chronosio.com. That is Chronosio with a K. And guys, Collector Investor Auctions, their June auction is over, but you can still go to collectorinvestorauctions.com, register and bid for their upcoming auctions. The next one will be the July auction, and the preview should be up by the end of June. All right. Well, guys, this episode, all these episodes are available on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. And these episodes are also brought to you by Upper Deck, the Sport Card Expo, Inferno, Red Technologies, ComC, and our friends at Card Ladder. And there is an affiliate link below in the description. As always, thanks to all of you for being here, supporting Sports Cards Live. Let's bring out now my good friend, one of my best friends, Mr. Joseph Perreault. What is up, my buddy? What is up?
What's happening, Jay Lee? What's happening, illustrious chat? There's something happening here right now, Jeremy, in the States. I mean, I'm not usually a patriotic kind of guy. I mean, a little patriotism here and there, but the U.S. national team is making us proud. It was an amazing event there. We beat Australia. I see a few people referencing it in the chat, and they're playing right over the hill, 45 minutes from on July 1st. We don't know who we're going to play yet. But this is a big deal. I mean, what if it was Messi? What if it was, you know, the GOAT right in my backyard playing against these guys? And it's nice because the Europeans are here, you know, all over the world. I shouldn't say Europeans. There's an international culture that's arrived, and they're saying, you know what, America's not that bad after all. So it's all feeling rather you know, positive, good spirit. And I think that's what the World Cup is about.
Yeah, I think so too. You know, I'm not the hugest soccer fan myself. I've heard there has been, I don't know what sort of success, but some success for the Canadian national team. I'm happy for my American friends, happy for you guys. I mean, soccer is such an international sport. It's nice when Canada and the US, which are very similar in many ways, can both have some success, or even just one of us. That's fine too. I'll be happy for the US if you guys do some damage at the World Cup, and hopefully you guys would be happy for us if Canada did as well. I know you'd be, Joe.
I would, and I don't know if we're necessarily going to do any damage. I just think like ride the wave while it's there, because right now we're 2-0 and everything's, you know, sunshines and rainbows. But we'll see. I think the real powerhouses will still have their way with us, but nonetheless, it's fun, and you know, the whole soccer thing is really. It's more than just winning and losing, you know, it's like, it's a culture and, you know, the world coming together, people, you know, interacting and breaking down barriers and realizing that we're all just human beings.
Yeah, well said, man. Well said. And let's have a little bit of fun here tonight on Sports Cards Live. We've got you and me kicking things off. We got David Novak, Upstate Sports Cards, who's going to be joining us in about 40 minutes or so. And then we're going to have Chris McGill and Joshua Adams joining us for the final hour, which I don't know if I can say that in good faith anymore, because that final hour has turned into the final 2 hours for the last like 3 weeks in a row. So we'll see if we can get back to a 3-hour program tonight. If we go 4, we go 4, though. It's been eventful, but let's say hello to the chat. We'll go through a few things. We got a few things in store that we want to take care of tonight. So would like to say hello to On Card Sports from Midland, Michigan. Bill Betts, what is up? Carl from Oz is, you know, talking about the soccer tournament as well. Laura, good evening to you. As always, good to see you. Boomy Sports Cards is here. What's going on? E105, good evening to you. How can you possibly top last week's episode of SCL? I don't know if we can, but we're going to do our best to probably not top it, but at least follow it up nicely. Jacob Dahl, Jeff McMahon, Yankees fan, Larry Gitlin, BW, CR, what's going on? The professor is here. It's good to be back, says Joe P. for Hobby Frez. Collector Charles, Jay Lee moving and shaking in the streaming world. We'll talk a bit about what he's talking about in a moment. Flint Hall watched the show last week, and he didn't like what he saw. What's up, Ron Fig? Ted Williams, 1959 Fleer, good evening to you. Curmudgeon, good evening. Jeff's Card Journey. Bill Betts is here. Confluence is here. That is not me singing the intro. That is my buddy Sean from Victory Investments. He's the one that actually sings the intro to this song. Desert Shield Sniper joining us from Hong Kong. We got Tony, the Southern Collector. We got Piccolina the Cat. Situational Adventures, good evening to you. Hi Pop Professor Brian in the house. It's good to be back, says Joe P for Hobby Prez yet again. Mookie Chilson in the house, of course. We got Jesse Double O's Card Guy. What's going on, buddy? The Cardboard Corner. Rip and List. Joe, the campaign is on. Joe Pro for Hobby Prez and Joe P for Hobby Prime Minute. You can have all the offices, Joe, all the offices. Situational is here. Mookie Chilson talking about the Mexican card. Jeff Wills is with us. We've got GST Warrior. Good evening. Orlando from A Collector's Dream. Good to see you, buddy. Mookie says the final hour is the magical hours that bends the space-time continuum. It sure does. Mickey Mental is here, says strive for 5. Dude, we got to get some sleep around here too, right? Steve Splenda. Whoa. Feels like it's been months since this guy's been here. Welcome back, Steve Splenda. Called Shot Cards. Jeff Hart at Patriot Sports Cards. Welcome. Tony Estina is here. Bobby Burrell is here. I'm here. You're here. We're all here. What's up, buddy? Skeppy, I'm wearing the old American Caramel Philadelphia PA shirt tonight. One of my favorites. The Wrestling Card Father is here. What's going on? Good to see you. For the Game is here as well. All right. Oh, Tony wants to be an assistant to the traveling secretary of the hobby. Splenda's back. All right. I'm just going to straighten my camera here. I feel like I'm a little bit off center. There we go. I'm off center. So, but I'm within 60-40, so I'm still a PSA 10, but I'm off center. We got Junk Wax Museum in the house as well. Mike Double V live from Calgary. It's Saturday night. And happy Father's Day, everybody. I think that's tomorrow, says Laura. Appreciate that. Pastor Greg in the house. What is going on? Oh, is it Laura's birthday? Someone's saying happy born day, Laura. Laura, does it say your birthday? Did I miss that somewhere? Thank you, Mike Double V. Well, Laura, if it is your birthday, I got to go up and check. Did I miss that somehow? Because if it is your birthday, happy birthday to you. I'm not seeing it, but okay.
One more thing, Jay Lee, I just want to slip in before you get on with what I know you want to talk about is you and Adam, once again, crushed it on Thursday night for the premiere. And I would just say that even if you didn't follow it live, it is content worth going back and listening to after the fact, because I learned so much from listening to you guys. And then the this or that, I mean, you were on point with that. I think it was the Star Jordan versus the Gretzky right out of the gates. And my mind was just like, oh my God, what do I do here? But anyway, congratulations. That was an excellent show. And I always love following the premiere with you guys.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun for us. I had a great time doing it. I always do. It's always fun hanging out with Adam. And he's so great at describing the cards and adding so much context to them. It gives me a time to sit back and I can just become enamored with what he's saying. So I appreciate that on behalf of him and myself. What is up, Rob Starr? Welcome, Chad Shipper. Good evening, Chad. Welcome. Laura, tomorrow's the longest day of the year. Is it the summer solstice tomorrow? One of those things? You're nodding, Joe. It is. I love the long days of the year. I start my walk sometimes at 11 o'clock. It's still light out here where I live that time. Ted Williams Flair says it was a great show. Really appreciate that. And Steve Splenda says, I'll end this stream to go listen to that stream, then catch back up on this stream, so I'm fully prepared for the next stream. Oh, Splenda. It's good to have you back, buddy. All right. So a couple things before we have a look at some card action going on tonight. I want to tell you guys a little bit. If you didn't see the really short video I posted yesterday here on the channel, or you didn't follow on Instagram, I want to let you guys know about this new content I'm doing. So y'all know I do the premiere show with Adam once a month. I do the Sunday night auction ending watch parties here for Fanatics, where we just go over cards, answer questions, inspect them. I'm bidding on cards all the time lately, but Fanatics is rolling out a new program next week called Collect Originals, and it is a collection of content creators all creating content exclusively for the Fanatics Collect platform, whether it's the app on your phone or fanatics.live on your computer. I've pinned a link to the top of the chat on YouTube tonight, and I would like to ask everybody, if you wouldn't mind, please click that link. That will tell Fanatics that I brought you to that platform, and that'll make me look better in their eyes. So I'd really, really appreciate that. That would be very helpful. And what it is it's non-transactional content. It's just content, as if you were watching content on like YouTube. You can now watch content also on Fanatics. So pretty cool. There's no cost to watch. There's no cost to download the app if you don't have it yet, or to watch it. But the show that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to share with you the the thumbnail. I hope you guys like it. It's a little bit different, but that's the thumbnail. The new show I'm doing is called The Hunt. It's going to be Thursday, this coming Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific in the afternoon. And it's going to be about an hour. And basically what I'm going to do is when I do the Sunday night show, guys, the Sunday Night Fanatics show, which I do 3, sometimes 4 times a month, before it, I'm preparing and I'm finding all the cards that I'm interested in, that I want to look at, that I want to share with the audience. So the hunt is going to be partially that process of looking for the cards to watch on Sunday night. We're going to be giving away a card or cards on that show as well. Again, this is only on the Fanatics platforms. You cannot watch the hunt on YouTube. You can only watch it on Fanatics, and to be eligible to win a giveaway, you'll have to be there at that time. If the time doesn't work for you, I'm sorry about that, but it's a slot that I got, and I can't do any more nights just in my world. So it's called The Hunt. We're going to it'll be live, it'll be interactive. It's a fun platform, so I'm excited. This first episode is now listed there. You can go now and follow Sports Cards Live on Collect Originals on that section of the Fanatics app. And again, no charge, guys. No, nothing. I'm not selling anything on there. It's just content, which is super cool. The Fanatics is doing it. Adam is doing it as well. I saw today Trike is one of the originals creators. Cajun Cardboard is one of the original creators. Mojo is another one. I think that's all I've seen so far. So about 5 of us, but I think there's going to be a lot more. I'm not exactly sure. They were very secretive. I don't know who, but you should start seeing announcements for that over the next few days. I think I've seen 5 of them so far. So I just ask you to check that out. And just for informational purposes, the weekly and the premiere show will also be streaming to the Fanatics platform, but it will also be streaming to YouTube as usual. So while there might be a few little changes because I'm going to be using new streaming software, everything else should be the same. So bear with me. I'm excited, and I'd really, really appreciate it if you guys would click that link. It's pinned to the top of the YouTube chat. Go set up your account, follow Sports Cards Live on Fanatics, and hopefully you can make it to the show. That would be awesome. All right, so that was that. I wanted to let you all know about that. Joe, please, yes.
Just a quick follow-up to that. So this is only live. It's exclusively live. It's not going to download somewhere and we could watch it later if we couldn't make it at the Thursday window.
So I did ask that question of the individual who is sort of my handler there now, I guess you could say. And he said that these episodes will be available, but they are not like a main feature of the app. So I don't know how to find them, but he says that they will be available post live.
Cool.
But they're
always fun live. Always fun to be in the chat and engage, as you're the best in the business at engaging with the chat. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm kind of honored to be chosen to do this along with another sort of select group. So I just really would appreciate the support of the Sports Cards Live community in clicking that link and going over there, because that's one of the ways that they're going to be kind of judging or assessing, I think, and seeing. It's not indefinite, and I think I want to stay on and keep on doing it. I bought a stream deck. I've had to learn a new platform, so I'm excited to do it, and should be fun. The other announcement, it's out there already that I want to let people know of. The National is coming up at the end of July. It's like 5 weeks away, just 5.5 weeks away. Joe Perreault will be making his debut appearance at the National, you guys. So you definitely want to come to the National if you'll be there. You can meet Joe. He'll be signing autographs, taking pictures, all that. It's very exciting. On Saturday at the National, at around, I think it's going to be at 3 o'clock on Saturday. Hopefully by then you have some time. You're maybe a little tired out. You've walked the floor. You bought your cards. Come up to the main stage on the second floor. That's where it's going to be this year at the National, because I am co-creating and hosting an event on the stage called Enter the Inferno. I'll just share some graphics on that. This was a concept that I came up with, and I presented it to Inferno Red Technologies, who is the company that actually created the Hobby Spectrum, which, by the way, some cool things going on in the background there right now. I know I say that all the time, but trust me, there's some cool things going on. So myself, Sports Cards Live, along with Inferno Red Technologies, we have co-created this event with full support from the National themselves. They've been involved for a couple months of planning it. It's like it's called Enter the Inferno. So if you or someone you know has a hobby tech idea for a business, we want to hear about it. It's a pitch event similar to something like Shark Tank or Dragon's Den up in Canada, but it's a pitch event for builders shaping the hobby, live on the main stage at the National. I'll just run through the slides here. Everyone's there. It's going to be a 10-minute pitch. There's 4 judges, 1 stage in front of a live audience. So it should be pretty cool. The judges, the experts, we have Scott Locke, who's the CEO of Inferno Red Technology. We have myself. We have Dr. James Beckett, who understands this hobby and is somebody who is advising companies on the regular anyway. He's going to be there. And what we're sort of giving to these people are tech services, advisory services, and marketing services. We're not investing. Well, I don't think. Maybe we'll invest in the businesses too, but we're there to help them launch and give them some services at, free, I guess. We'll see how it goes. We'll see who. And then we have Ed Snyder as well. I know Ed really well. He's basically built the hobby spectrum for me. And he's done a great job. Very smart guy. And these guys, they're hobbyists. These guys are pure hobbyists. You might remember Chris Locke, who was on the show here a couple of weeks ago with us. That was Scott's son. And he's an up-and-comer in the hobby. In any event, the main stage contestant will leave with some expert feedback on your product, exposure to the hobby's biggest live audience, and non-cash prizes, as I just mentioned. So if you're building it, we want to see it, whether it's apps, websites, hardware, marketplaces, grading tools, AI for collectors. If it's hobby tech related and you're 18 years or older, you can apply to qualify. Applications have to be in by the 26th. Finalists will be noted on July 3rd. The show date is August 1st, and you can complete your application at infernored.com/enter-the-inferno. So wanted to share that with everybody. See you at the National. That's sort of the slide deck for Enter the Inferno. Really excited about it. Came up with that idea, and it's been a lot of fun to plan it and see it come to fruition. Joe, you're gonna come check it out live at the National.
I might try and pitch an idea. I'm not a big tech guy, but that deadline's fast approaching. The 26th. We only got a few days, so I'd have to really get my act together. Has that been out for a while, or is there really just a short window of opportunity?
Well, like most things, we wanted to launch it a week before we were able to. So we got pushed back a week before we could announce it. I think we've already had a handful of applicants, so we'll see if we have to extend it. Maybe we will. Hopefully we don't. But yeah, it is getting close. So we have to go through, vet the applicants, and settle on 3 of them.
It's a great idea. I look forward to watching it in person, and I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. It'll be fun. It's going to be highly produced. The stage is going to be unlike anything they've ever had at the National before. They are really investing in the main stage this time. It's not going to be hidden away. It will be on the 2nd floor, but there's a lot going on up there. It's not just that one half of the room. It's the whole upstairs there now. And they're really, you'll see, it's going to be a whole different experience. So they're telling me, and I'm very excited to check that out. Of course, I want to also mention, this is kind of off topic, I guess, but so you guys remember after the last West Coast Card Show, I bought all those. I showed you guys. I bought a whole bunch of vintage memorabilia baseball cards. Well, off of a vendor from the West Coast Card Show. I hadn't talked to him, but then our good buddy Greg Miller from Midlife Cards reached out to me. He goes, "Hey, Jer, that guy who you bought those cards from, he was set up at the local show. He's got inventory again." I said, "No way." So I reached out to him, and we made an appointment to actually meet up yesterday, not like in person, but a phone call. Yesterday, he'd sent me pictures, and I made a deal with him yesterday for 13 more cards, which we're going to consummate at the National. So I purchased, basically doubled the size of that collection in one day. So on the hangover, which we will drop on Wednesday, I'm likely to show those cards off, but we'll wait for the hangover to share those. But pretty excited about that. But you know what it's like, Joe? It's like we just shook hands. We virtually shook hands on the deal last night at 7 o'clock. And so I'm pretty excited for that, for those new cards.
Well, if memory serves, he got bought out at the National, and then he made a commitment to getting even higher end vintage memorabilia cards, which he clearly knows that niche of the market in some pretty powerful ways. But what I was going to ask is, when you talk to your friend who made the connection and you said he was at a local show, where does your friend live? Where is a local show for this guy that's selling you these 13 cards?
Well, did you hear who my friend was?
No.
Greg Miller.
Greg. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I missed that part. So
Sacramento.
So he's in Northern California.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you guys just negotiated over the phone, or like
yeah. He sent me pictures the day before, like a whole bunch of gang scans. Like you said, he sold out everything he had at the West Coast Card Show at the end of Saturday or maybe Sunday morning. He told me the story. He sold, who did he sell to? One of the, I forget if it was BBCE, Baseball Card Exchange, came and bought him out. Now he has since replenished, and we had a great rapport last time that we met up. Well, we didn't meet up, but he sent me the pictures. We had and this was planned, like he was on vacation, so it took like a week. I was waiting to see the pictures. He sent them to me on Thursday. We did the deal yesterday. Yeah.
Did you learn, because you said the last time you interacted with him, you learned a ton about that particular market. Did you learn more in talking to him this time?
Not a lot more, a little bit, but we were, I was late for dinner during that meeting yesterday. I just took it whenever. Yeah. I took it whenever he gave it to me. And I took the meeting whenever he was available the soonest, because I wanted to get in and see those. So no, we didn't spend a lot of time just with small talk. We pretty much got into the, a little bit of hello, how are you? But
give us one teaser, something, one teaser that you think might, whet everybody's appetite for the hangover.
Listen, look at what Joe's doing for you guys. If you even, you want to know one teaser. Oh man, one teaser. All right, I'll show you one teaser. No, I can't really. Well, now I have to, I guess. Okay, I'll show you one. I'll give you one teaser here. Let's do this one. It's a Joe DiMaggio.
Oh yeah.
With the memorabilia is in the 39 there, right there. It's it's a 2004 Upper Deck Ultimate Collection. It's numbered out of 39. It's in a BGS 8 slab. I will be cracking that out when I get it, though. Yeah.
I love that dirty old flannel, that gray, dirty flannel. Like, is there any question that that's game used? In 39, is that an important year for DiMaggio? It must be. It's his rookie year, right?
It's it's ultimate achievement, so it must mean something. I'm not sure what it means.
Okay, let's throw that to the chat. The chat will research that for us.
Well, I also picked up, I won't show it, but I also picked up the Ty Cobb from that set from him, and it's numbered out of 9. So there's another small teaser.
Gotcha. All right. Well, that's exciting. I look forward to seeing the whole queue.
Yeah. Well, we'll share it on the next episode of The Hangover, which will drop on Wednesday. Yeah. All right, let's do a few more comments here. We got more going on. Tony says, when is Bob Boozle going to make an appearance on SCL? Well, guys, Bob Boozle has a. I'm not going to tell you he is, but I'm going to tell you there's an open invitation to Senor Bob Boozle. He is welcome on the show anytime.
He's really taken off too. I mean, I didn't ever see Bob Boozle in my IG feed. Now it's like he's creating things. You mentioned that. I forget if that was The Hangover or the premiere, but you mentioned like the complexity of his memes and commentary. It almost like boggles the mind. The Bob Boozles the mind.
Yeah, it boozles the mind. Exactly. Well, open invitation to Bob Boozle. Thank you, Orlando, for the congrats. Upstate Sports Cards will be joining us here in about 15 minutes on the show. Everybody get ready for that. Skeppy says The Hangover is the best, by the way. Love those episodes. I love doing. They're fun. Hey, Joe, it's fun. It's chill. It's relaxing. It's a fun show to record. So appreciate that, Skeppy. Mookie says Fanatics is wise to bring you aboard, Jeremy. Thank you, Mookie. I appreciate that. Bob Boozle says, is there a button where I can block everyone but Jeremy on the app? I don't think so, but you can just follow me if you want. Carl from Oz, the professor, says, I'm waiting to follow in the app. It's there now, Professor. It's there since you messaged me earlier today. You should be able to do that now. I think there was just me and Mojo on the. I'll actually just show you guys what that looks like because it was new to me. But if you go to the Fanatics Collect app and kind of there's like an auction and you tap the live down there you can see this. And then there's categories up here. So right now that black little pill there is collect originals. But if you were to tap there, it's going to show you like single sales. And then, you could probably find breaks and by sport and all sorts of things, right? But if you just go to the top there and you click on, again, it's these little pills at the top. I know they're hard to see, but you click on collect originals. Oh, there's 3 now. Now there's 3 up there. We've got Slab Stocks, we've got Mojo, and we've got Sports Cards Live. The Hunt. It's the Hunt, guys, right there. So it's up there now. I appreciate that. Bob Boozle, The Hunt, Jeremy Lee, Sizzler Apps, Steve Splenda. If I didn't spend all my money on cardboard pictures of men, I could afford Rich People YouTube and avoid these ads. Bro, it's only like $15 a month. It'll change your life. Trust me, you will not regret it. It is worth it. Prime time, Lee. Bob Boozle, click the Durant video on YouTube. Now they're showing you Hair Club for Men ads. Okay. Mookie, attention, Fanatics Brass. I'm only signing up for Jay Lee. I appreciate that, Mookie. Very much so. Yes, Professor found it. Found treasures. What is going on? Appreciate you being here as always. Situationals. Yeah, Trike and Cage along with Jay Lee are great content creators. Appreciate that, Situational. And I like Trike and Cajun, both great guys, good friends of the show and friends of mine as well. Yes, the National is coming up. Let's go, Joe. Sports. Is that Big Ken in the house? Is that Big Ken joining us here? Big Ken from Sports Card Lessons. Check out that pod. That's one of the ones on my rotation. What's up, Ken? Welcome. Orlando, can't wait to see everyone at the National. Same here. Joe, tell people what you're excited about the National.
Yeah, I mean, with the exception of the 2 Mint Collective shows, shout out Dave Marino, who helped put all that together. I really haven't had a whole lot of communion with people who live on the East Coast. And I mean, unless they came out to the West Coast card show. So meeting people, seeing people, encountering people that I've never yet met, and, reacquainting with old friends and or reasonably new old friends.
It'll be great. I know a lot of people are looking forward to meeting you. So we're going to have some fun. If you're watching on Instagram, come on over to YouTube. That is where everybody is. Just look for Sports Cards Live on YouTube. Upstate Sports Card says the Hobby Spectrum was great. He scored nostalgic. That's great. We'll talk about that when you join us on the show shortly. James liked it and clicked the link to let them know you sent me. Thank you, James. Really, truly appreciate that for everybody who does click the because these, like all these different collect original content creators are going to have their own link that'll be unique to them for tracking purposes. So certainly hope you guys click the one that I'm providing you. That would be great. Jeff, Patriot Sports Cards, can't wait for the National. I mean, we don't call it the Natty here on Sports Cards Live, Jeff. You know that for sure. What else we got here? Yes, Splenda, I make card appointments. Absolutely. Situational. Did you chat with the dealer about Stan's predicament? No, did not. I don't think Stan's in a predicament. Stan seems pretty comfortable with his purchase of the Jackie Robinson card. I've heard from him again, but nothing really new. Just he's very happy with his purchase, and that's good. That's good enough for me. Bob Boozle says that Jeremy scheduled me for a June 31st appointment. I later found out that day does not exist. I'll be here on June the 31st to meet you, Bob Boozle. I will be here in the studio just waiting for you. Kenny G says he only struck out 39 times in one season. Joe DiMaggio, very good. Cardboard Corner, filling out his Hobby Spectrum assessment now. And guys, when you do the Hobby Spectrum assessment, make sure you're opting into the directory and adding the teams, players, sports you collect, and all your links, because the discoverability is really the secret sauce, and that's about to blow up. We were blowing up the discoverability abilities on the Hobby Spectrum. That's what you'll see. You'll see. And YouTube Music is worth it too, says Cardfucius. What is it? Rich Barone, the mayor of Canada from Long Island, is here looking good. What is up, my brother? Oh, he's one of my oldest friends in the hobby. What's up, Richie? Good to see you. Yes, that is Big Ken. And what is up? Ken Fickle's here with us as well. Carl from Oz. Maybe it's because I'm old, but this is the best fun you can have with your clothes on or off. And Jim Define is back with us again. What's up, Jim? Welcome to the show. All right, Joe. Woo!
One quick interjection. So I suspected it might be, and I don't know what it says on the back of your new Joe DiMaggio mem card, but 1939 was his breakout rookie season, so it's possibly a tribute to that. I don't know.
I had that same thought, actually, believe it or not. I was thinking, I wonder if that's what it is, but we'll see.
And then we might ask ourselves, was 1909 Ty Cobb's rookie year, which I don't think it was, but it might have been.
It's also when the T206 cards are kind of began, 09 through 11 sort of thing. So could be. Or
maybe they're honoring a particular season, and maybe Ty Cobb hit like 434 or something in 1909.
Maybe. So I was just trying to look. You were frozen like this, so I tried to just kind of be frozen with you there. The other thing we were going to do, Joe, is there's a big golden auction going off tonight, I believe, and I know it because I'm looking at it on the left-hand side here. And actually, I'm just going to share the screen for a moment, guys. Here's the golden auctions. This is the elite, but it's saying 0 minutes, 0 seconds. Is that because I'm not logged in, perhaps? Oh, no, there we go. 22 minutes, 2 minutes. So there's my understanding, and I haven't really checked out the auction yet. So let's maybe search by just to see what some of the real highlights are. Oh, wow. We got 1, 2, 3 items over $1 million already here on golden auctions. Although one is not a sports card. It's just a Declaration of Independence. But we have a LeBron over at 1.4. We've got a Shohei Superfractor at 1.25 million. An Illustrator. We got a Kobe Black Prism, 400 grand. A couple of MJ Star cards. A LeBron Limited Logos rookie year. A nice mantle, 52 tops. A PSA 10 MJ Fleer rookie. Whole bunch of good stuff. Was there something? I was talking to somebody who mentioned it. Was it you, Joe? Was there something you were watching in the auction or curious about?
Well, there's an assortment of Cracker Jacks, summer 1914, summer 1915. I think there's a 1915 Joe Jackson, and then 14 Walter Johnson, and one other, maybe Ty Cobb. So yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah, there's a 1915 Cracker Jack and an SGC2. And then, that's it. Just the 6. There's the Cobb, a 1914 Cobb in a 1, in a PR1. That's
not closing for 20 days. Okay, that's a different.
Oh,
because I'd be very interested at that price.
Yeah, I'm thinking of that. I'm like, what? $4 grand? What's going on there? So that is okay. If all we want really to look at is that's probably the vintage elite, whereas the elite is ending tonight, and I guess the vintage elite ends soon after. But lots of big auctions going on here tonight on gold. And if anyone is curious, wants to point us at a card you want us to look at some point, happy to do that.
Could we look at the Joe Jackson really quick? I know it's not a 1914, but for many of us mortals, it is at least a little bit closer to reality. SGC2.
Yeah.
Pretty good centering. I'll let you do the narration, Jay.
Yeah, I mean, it looks, it looks good from a distance. It's well centered. The image is nice. It certainly has issues. Lots of sort of, I don't even know if that's caramel staining or if that's just like age staining and toning. Bit of a bender crease over there. A lot of surface, like the color is nice from a distance, but when you look at it, there's some, I don't know what that is, just toning or scuffing.
Dirt.
Dirt maybe. It's got some problems, but I mean, it's a very nice copy nonetheless. There's the reverse. This one obviously sat in a photo album. That's what those cross lines are. That's glue from a photo album page right there. It was sitting in an album back down. And so it came out, took some of the color from the glue with it, but it looks like if there's any paper loss, it's minimal, which is hard to believe.
Yeah.
Looks like a nice copy, actually. Yeah, great. I think that's an amazing copy. $54,000, and this one ends in 19. This one is 20 minutes from now, so this one's almost over, I guess you could say. But
and it feels important to underscore that the 1914 is far more rare, and difficult, and the reverse is different. Is it?
Yeah, the difference is on the reverse is that on the 1914 Cracker Jacks. Okay, so right here you can see the front of the card. As soon as I show you the back of the card, if you notice, it's upside down.
Right.
Whereas the 1915s, they made them. Sorry, this is no. Oh, this is a 15. Never mind. This is a 15. The 15s are upside down. Yeah, the 14s are right side up. So I was confused there. Yeah, this 1915, the backs are upside down, as you can see.
And then the release of the 14s came in the actual candy boxes, which I think also presents an extra challenge in terms of condition.
Right. Whereas the 1915s, you could also send away and get like a factory set right from the company. Exactly. Orlando says 1907 was Cobb's rookie season, but Jim says 1905. All right, guys, let's duke it out. But Jim says first year, that is. Situational says the Mantle 2025 Topps Redemption is in this auction. That's pretty cool for a PSA 5, 1952. So we kind of, how do I clear this Joe Jack? How do I clear it? Results for Cracker Jack?
Maybe go to the search bar. Sometimes it doesn't show it. If you click on it, maybe it'll give you a new option. No.
I'll just back it up this way. I'm not sure how to navigate this auction all that well, I guess. But we can go to the elite auction. It's in extended bidding. And if we go back to highest price, we should find that. We saw the Mantle. There it is. That's a PSA 6. So he said PSA 5. So it's somewhere. But anyway, thanks for that information. Okay, Jeff says that it's the vintage auction ending tonight at Golden. One cool item is an unopened box carton of Tito 6 cards, cigarette packs. Very, very cool. Jim says Cracker Jack cards look tremendous in tuxedos. Barf. I hate tuxedos. Southern Collector Tony, some dude in Tennessee just won a huge card. Hey, Tony, congratulations. I think I know what he won. I think I saw it here. If it's still going to show up for us, actually. Oh boy.
Babe, babe.
Maybe the babe. Maybe. No, that's 17 days from now. Okay, that's not the one I was thinking. I was thinking about this one. Let's just type it in here. You'll see what I'm talking about now, I'm sure.
Some guy named Mantle. It might be
not that one. Okay, I'm not sure where to find it, but congratulations, Tony. That is awesome. Very happy for you. Unbelievable. Jeff says 1914 Cracker Jack Walter Johnson in the auction. That's actually pretty crazy itself as well. That's a tough card. All right, Joe. So again, welcome everybody. We're going to have a great show. We're off to a good start already. David Chase may or may not join us at some point live from Hawaii. He's on vacation now. We got Chris and Josh joining us a little bit later. We got David Novak, who is Upstate Sports Cards, joining us in just a couple of minutes. Is there anything else we want to get through before we moved on, Joe? Anything else on your mind? Hangover, episode 4, Unhinged from last week.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people wanted to talk about that, that the Jerry Springer component of the show. I couldn't make the Hangover due to work issues, so I missed. I heard you and Dave Chase give it a little airtime, but yeah, just moving on. I mean, that's one of many chapters in the Sports Card Live treasure chest of content.
Yeah, absolutely. David Novak, please take a moment and center yourself in your phone. Get your phone all set up so you're good to go, and we'll bring you on in just a moment. Okay, yeah, there you go. That's better. Midlife Greg is with us. Greg, your ears must have been ringing. We were already talking about you, but welcome to the show. I gave a tease of one of the cards that I picked up from our common friend in Sacramento. So I gave you a shout out for that hookup. Thank you again for letting me know he was back in business. A lot of congratulations coming in for Tony, from Laura, from Jacob, from Situational, from Pastor Craig. And from Orlando as well, right up there. So it's always nice. We have a great group of a great community here, great group of people. in the Sports Cards Live community, in the midlife community, in the Tony community, in the Orlando community, and everybody's community. I don't want to leave anybody out, so I'll stop right there. But in the Joe Perot community, Joe Perot Nation, as they say.
The Clubhouse community. We it's like we created a more extended family with the Hangover jumping into the Clubhouse brand.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the Hangover, which drops on Wednesday, is all this exclusive content that we're creating from Sports Cards Live now. But the Hangover live exclusively, not live, but available exclusively on the Sports Card Clubhouse YouTube channel. So go over there for that, guys. And it's fun. We're going to record episode number 5 here in the next couple of days and drop it on Wednesday. And then again, the Hunt, the new Collect Originals show that I'm doing on Thursdays on the Fanatics Collect app and fanatics.live. We'll not be able to watch that on YouTube. And if you want to win a giveaway, you got to be there to watch it. So I look forward to seeing you guys there. Jim Define says, I also love Tony's baseball cards. Yeah, you guys, damn both of you for putting that song back in my head. Just after 3 weeks, I finally got Tony's jingle out of my head, and now it's back because people wrote it into the chat. No, you please. I'm banning Southern Collector lyrics from the chat. Jeff, the Ruth Called Shot ticket stub is going off tonight as well. Incredible. Jeremy from California, what's going on? Good to see you. Good to see you. And Pastor Greg says the only Hangover that I like. I appreciate that. Pastor Craig, I think I'm saying Pastor Greg. Pastor Craig. Hi, Pop Professor with a congrats for Tony as well. What a nice chat. All right. David, okay, we're going to bring on David. Joe, are you ready for that?
Yes, sir.
All right. David's got 2 thumbs up. Everybody, I would like you to please welcome Mr. David Novak to Sports Cards Live. David, how are you, buddy?
Hey, how's it going? Thank you, Jeremy, for having me be here. It's a great honor. I'm a very big fan of the show.
Well, it's great.
How's it going? Nice to meet you, sir.
Pleasure to meet you too.
David, it's good to hear you. You're on your phone. Any chance you've got earpods or something like that available?
Yes, if you want to give me 90 seconds.
Yeah, let's do it. I think we'll get actually never mind. Joe, are you hearing them good?
Pretty good. Maybe unclear. Let a little more talking go.
Yeah, I just noticed my speaker volume was a little low, so that might just be me. David.
Yes.
It's good to have you here. You've been watching the show for a little while?
Almost 7 years. 6 to 7 years at this point since you've been going.
Wow.
Great show, great program, very educational. Definitely something that I'm always looking for. So I appreciate it. Good.
Well, I appreciate it very much. So thank you very much for that. Why don't we start? Because chat, if anyone in the chat wants David to go get some earbuds so you can hear him better, let us know. Otherwise, I think we're good, but we'll leave it to the chat, David, for now. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your hobby history, when you got into it. Give us some information on yourself, please.
Okay. So I'm 37 years old. I live in upstate New York. I'm about half hour south of Albany, New York. I have 2 kids that are almost teenagers. One's in Pokemon, not so much, just a little bit. He's 12, going to be 13 soon. My daughter, she doesn't really care for sports cards, which is fine. I've been a collector on and off throughout most of my life since I was probably about 7, 8 years old. And I've jumped in mostly when I was a kid just because of the Dallas Cowboys. They've always been very significant to me in my life.
So the Cowboys are your team?
Absolutely.
And you're a Cowboys collector?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I'll show you the piece that got me started. This is an 8x10 of Deion Sanders, and the certificate of authenticity is from 1996. So I was 8 years old. My mom got me this piece. So this is my first piece that I've had in my collection. So
very cool, man.
It means a lot to me. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, one thing we can do is I'm just going to share the Hobby Spectrum directory here for a moment. So you are right here. You just, I think, joined last night. We've had a couple of guys since you already, but there you are. You scored a 25 on the assessment. which leans you heavily towards the the collector side of the spectrum versus the investor side. And you've got I noticed you added your Instagram link. You didn't add any sports or teams or players you collect, so you should go in and do that when you have a moment. But there you have a bit of an idea of the type of collector, the mindset, the motivation, the behavior that David really brings to the hobby. And as we get to know him a little bit more tonight, we'll see if we think it's consistent, I suppose. So we chatted, we met a little bit ago, David, and you were supposed to come on back in like October, I think. Scheduling didn't allow for it, so we're finally getting you back now, which is great. I'm happy to have you with us. It's a long time coming, but we had a few topics we wanted to talk about. So why don't we jump in, and we're going to start with talking about millennial collectors, because you have some thoughts on millennial collectors, and it's not just one thing. So I'm going to turn the table over to you, Joe. We'll turn it over to David. We'll let him present his topic, and then let's get into it. Chat, get ready. We're going to talk about this for a little bit. So, David, when you were mentioning to me about millennial collectors, specifically, what's on your mind?
So now this is my perspective. This doesn't mean every single millennial that's aged 30 to 45, because according to like Google, it's 1981 through 1995, I believe it was the millennial age point. So I'm like right in the middle, as a matter of fact, at 37. I'll be 38 in September. So for me personally, and through my lens and perspective, I've jumped in from like the Zions, the Jaws, the ultra modern. I've jumped into the 2000s. I've had patch auto cards of LeBron James, like game use patch autos on card stuff from Upper Deck. I've had vintage cards from like Cassius Clay. It was like a 1968 PSA 9 Cassius Clay card I had back in 2020. So I have range of hobby knowledge of cards, like from Burke Ross, Willie Mays cards to Cassius Clay to Zions. So like I have a lot of range, and throughout that journey, I've collected in many different pockets within those areas. And what really sticks most to me are like fewer and fewer cards, kind of like what Brent, Deep Value Investor, speaks about quite a bit through his content.
So tell us a little bit about what he speaks about, just so people know. I mean, he's been on the show here, and what is it about his approach or content that resonates with you?
So like a brief summary on what he generally speaks of is like fewer and fewer cards will hold less value. Like basically, I said that wrong, actually. Fewer cards will hold more of the value. I said that wrong.
Right. The Pareto principle.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's basically the summary for Brent.
All right, good. Joe, any thoughts on that? Any feedback for David, or thoughts on that sort of Pareto principle approach to collecting?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think we've seen the Pareto effect be manifested to some degree in what people are doing in terms of consolidation, of pushing into the GOATs. So, kudos to him for presenting that. And maybe that was a trajectory that, was sort of organic and natural. David, I actually had a little fandom for the Cowboys. I have some relatives in Texas. So when I was early on, like in the mid 70s, I was a Raiders fan, but I also sort of liked the Cowboys because they were in the other conference. So I was allowed to like them a little bit. So Staubach, Drew Pearson. What I wanted to ask you is who do you think are on the Mount Rushmore of Dallas Cowboys players? And speaking in the realm of cards and collectability and maybe the Pareto effect.
So that's a great question. So like I would answer that in two different ways. I would answer in a historical lens, and then a lens through my like view as of 37, what I've seen in my life. Historically, I would say like Tom Landry, like his highest graded rookie card, that would most likely sell for like a few $100,000 if it was at like a heritage auction, something like that.
I had no idea. Wow.
Something like, there was a high grade Landry. There might have been a 9 or a 10, but there's something out there like that. There's a monster. So there's Landry's best card. And then I would say Staubach's best card would be his rookie. I would say Dorsett. And then the next card I would say Aikman's best card, I'm very biased. I would say it would be this card right here.
Okay.
And this is
Pulling out
my biased opinion, but I would say his green PMG is Aikman's best card in his entire card catalog.
So do you just have like green PMGs lying around your desk? Is that how it goes up there in upstate?
Not quite. I pulled them aside just for this show. I normally don't keep them around like this, but I have 5 cards, so it was pretty easy. Like my main collection, again, is only 5 cards, and I'm okay with that. Like I've had collections where I've had like 50 graded cards, but I've consolidated it down to like 5 cards, literally.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm very comfortable with it too.
You're
unorthodox.
You're not just talking the talk, you're walking the walk on that.
Yes, sir.
What about David? What about Emmitt Smith?
Emmitt Smith, I like Emmitt Smith a lot, but there's many people that feel that Barry Sanders is the better running back. I feel that Emmitt had the more accomplished career based upon accolades such as, but not limited to, Super Bowls, MVPs. He has like the most rushing yards and various other historical records. So, I mean, a running back can't get you 3 Super Bowls. I would say it was a quarterback, but a lot of people talk very poor about Troy Aikman because he had a very short career. He only played 9 seasons, and like he was hurt. He had like 12 concussions throughout his career. So it was very short for him. So, but it's very memorable.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Joe.
We might talk about this later in the episode when our friend Hoj comes in, but where do you weigh in, like with a guy like Troy Aikman, for instance, who has gained a lot of positive fame in his realm of announcing? Now, you mentioned he only played 9 seasons, but he is probably one of the more well-known voices for the NFL. Do you incorporate the full panoply of someone's cultural significance? You mentioned Landry, obviously, is kind of, or are you more of a, like, what did they do on the field? Which way do you lean on that conversation?
I would say both. Like, so when Jerry Jones bought the Dallas Cowboys in, I believe it was 88 or 89, the Cowboys were in the tank. It was just like the worst the franchise ever was. They've been around since the 60s. And basically they drafted Michael Irvin in 88. Then they drafted Troy Aikman ahead of Barry Sanders. He was the number 1 pick in the 89 draft. And then a couple years after that, they started rolling. And then they had their dynasty. And basically today, the Dallas Cowboys are the most valued sports franchise in all of sports. Like, if they're very, very historic. It's very impressive too, because they're like the New York Yankees. They've been around for like over 100 years, and they have way more rings and championships. But the thing is, they have a lot longer of a runway. So it's football and baseball. It's obviously different and stuff, but it's very interesting.
Very interesting. Yeah, I love hearing about all the all-time greats for the Cowboys. And you mentioned all the ones I could think of, so I think you got it covered there. But yeah, and the documentary, again, I forget what that was called, that I watched recently. It was a really interesting show, and very educational when it came to the Cowboys and Jerry Jones and how he runs things over there. Okay, so back to the millennial discussion, David. You know, and Joe kind of threw out the word there, consolidation, and you've done that. Obviously, you mentioned you've had 50 card collections. You have 5 now. Are you finding that with yourself as a millennial in the hobby and other millennials who you are talking to, your hobby friends that happen to be millennials as well, are they all kind of moving towards this consolidation theme and really scaling down the amount of are they really going for quality over quantity the way you have? Do you think that this is something that millennials are more prone to do than other generations? What is it in the air for these millennials, and are they all going in that direction, or many of them?
So I would say some are, some aren't. There's a point of perspective that each individual needs to have on how they look at things. Like, do they have too much of their net worth tied into these cards? If so, they may need to constantly have a revolving door of cards going in and out to keep some level cash flow and maybe cover for like emergencies. I work really, really hard to put myself in a position where I do not need to worry about these cards needing to become emergency funds. Like, I work very hard and secure everything so I don't have to even worry about it. Not everybody can do that. And there's also, I think it has more to do with like the time you are in the hobby, like how comfortable you are with buying a significant card. You have to, like, when you buy a significant card, you have to understand, like, when you're sending that money, you are going to take a chance, and you have to be very, very comfortable with it.
Absolutely, you do. So when we talk about consolidating, as a millennial, because I want to really focus into that, because you are one. I'm whatever generation came before the millennial. Is that Gen X, Gen Y, Z? I don't know what gen I am, but it's before the millennials, because unfortunately I was born before 81, I think you said. So I'm not as in touch, but I've got a lot of friends that are of that age, including yourself. So what is it like as a collector? I understand the 100 count card box for a collection. I can understand 50. I can even understand 5. But not for me. I'm more of that. Like, I need like 2,000 cards to really be happy in the hobby. And I couldn't imagine consolidating down to 100, never mind less than that, especially 5. But when we talk about a millennial, or really, I guess, even anyone for that matter who is collecting that way, I think it does come down to how long you've been in the hobby and how you grew up in the hobby. If you're just coming to the hobby at COVID, let's say, it might be easier to consolidate down because you maybe were just purchasing cards left, right, and center. Maybe you didn't have much of a theme to your collecting, and then as the years go by, you develop a theme and you realize, oh, okay, hang on a second, I want to be more focused as a collector. I want to not have to have so many lanes I'm into, such that I can't really drive down any of them effectively and in a way that is special. So is that kind of what you think? Are people in your generation, in that generation, really trying to curate a small but mighty collection? And do you think that it matters if they started collecting more broadly or if they came in during COVID?
So I would say, like, as long as you know, like, the certain players in the catalog, you have to know what you're basically, when you buy a card, you have to understand the significance of the card to make sure that when you buy that card, you have to understand the value, and there's all types of risks that are associated with that. And also, in addition, with the card count, I would say, like, each card, if everybody took their collection, let's just say they have 50 cards, they put them all in front of them. If they like kind of tiered it off, like, which cards would they like to get rid of? And basically, with those cards, like, use your imagination. If I sold all 12 of these cards, I take those funds and I can get this card of this player. It's basically like analyzing your collection and saying, if I tier this off, I keep the top tier, like the best of the best, keep that aside. And the bottom tier, if I were to sell, for example, 12 of those cards, what could I use those funds for? What could that get me to add another piece to the top tier? And, like, in addition, like, I feel that my generation is very competitive in a way, like, with certain things. We want the best of the best with what we could afford, obviously. And I just think that has a lot to do with it. Like, today, like, I had, like, my daughter's softball tournament, and, like, there's lots of people that are my age and they're very, very competitive. And it's just, I don't think it was like that with the previous generation. Like, it's just very, very cutthroat. And, like, not that I'm like that with cards, these are just cards to me, but it's just like that mentality and perspective. It's alive and well.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting way to do it. I appreciate the competitive nature of millennials, or at least the people that you're thinking of when you're talking about that. And then I have to ask, what are they competing for? What are you competing for as a collector? Are you competing for the flex to say, look, I have the best Troy Aikman collection? Are you competing against yourself as if it's a game of golf where you're trying to build the best, and you're nodding because I know that's where you're going, where you're trying to build the best collection you can for yourself over time. I think there is, and maybe I don't know for sure, but do you think there is an element among some people who are just competing for the flex versus the long-term curated collection?
So to me, the flex, there's nothing wrong with the flex. There's lots of great people that flex their cards on Instagram. None of my cards, as a matter of fact, are pictured on Instagram. I do have my green PMG as like my profile picture, but it's not about the flex. It's like, I think it's more of like what you said, the game of golf within. It's like, it's just a never ending course. And I just want to keep adding like these significant cards as I go, whether if I add 1 or 2 cards a year, that's okay. There's enough in my life to kind of keep me distracted where I don't have to like overanalyze this game and make it too much more difficult than it needs to be. Like I do have like certain cards that I have left on my checklist, but at this point, I'm happy where I'm at. I'm very thankful if I don't buy a card for another 5 years. I mean, I will buy cards from now till then, of course, but I'm at that stage where if I don't buy another card and we just like the internet just went out and like you cannot buy, God forbid, of course, if you could not buy any more cards, I would be okay with it based upon what I have and where I'm at. I'm very thankful and grateful.
Yeah, that's a great outlook to have. And then the next question is, you said, if you're sort of tiering out the cards to go for the best of the best, and we'll get Joe's thoughts on this too, because what I was thinking when you said that, David, is that, these millennials are looking for the best of the best cards. Maybe they're looking at Cajun Cardboard's tier list, and maybe they're applying it from MJ to another player who has similar cards from that era, those eras. What if, David, the tier list moves around? What if cards over time, over years, because louder voices start talking about another card and it leapfrogs a tier 1 card? Like, how reliant are these collectors? And I mean, this applies to the whole hobby, not just millennials and not just the ones you're specifically thinking of, but how reliant are we as a hobby on this tier list, this structure that we've applied to these cards, which is often based on, who the wealthiest people are on social media that are collecting them and showing them? That has a lot to do with it. Once those guys leave, someone new comes in, chases something else. Like, we are literally, these lists are formed based on an inefficient sort of marketplace that is fragmented and scattered, and comps are not that reliable as a end-all be-all because of just the nature of them and how fragmented the industry is. So really, we've created this environment and this structure, this tier, like you mentioned, but I think it's subject to change. At part, will the green PMG ever fall off its perch as kind of king of the jungle, of the insert jungle? Probably not. But what about some of the lower tier cards that could, juxtapose amongst each other, move around? Like, how reliant are we on other people's value assessments of cards? What are your thoughts on that?
That's a really good question. So I value historical manufacturing more than the hobby I respect the hobby, of course, but like I look at the historical significance of these cards more than the value that 2 people want to spend on that card to change that card's value. Like, the green PMG is the green PMG. The masterpieces are the masterpiece. They may move up or down, but like, I don't think the masterpiece is going to be like a 25th best card of a player. I think maybe like it'll go up and down a little bit, but to me, it doesn't make much of a difference. I'm okay with owning these cards. Like, the cards are the cards at this point. They've been these cards for 30 years. The comps, the narrative, the hobby, what people like in the hobby is always going to change. Like, nobody can predict the future. And I just feel that, especially with 90s football, like, I just feel it's very undervalued. I'm not trying to sell it to anybody, of course, but it's just like that market is just very, very like underserved. Like, there's not a lot of people in that pool, which is cool because it makes it very affordable. Like, if this was basketball, I wouldn't be able to touch a lot of these cards. And it is what it is.
I think you're dead on right about that for sure. And that's why you're in the football market maybe right now. And also because you're a fan, you're a Cowboys guy. So you're it works out well for you that cards that you want to buy, you feel are undervalued, underappreciated, underserved. That's a great place to be as a collector. Joe, what were your thoughts on that line of discussion about, the fact that certain cards are valued at a certain level relative to other cards, that whole tier system? Is it set in stone? What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think things can move from time to time. But I do think that there's been a fair amount of stratification, I guess you could say, with the tiers. I think the thing that I find interesting about the football market, and I agree, David, that the football market, considering how popular it is and how much money it generates in American society, is undervalued. But the interesting thing there, football is not like baseball or even basketball, where there's, there's a hitter and a pitcher in baseball. There's different players in basketball. Football has a wide range of positions. Point in case, the Deion Sanders that you pulled out right out of the gates. I mean, Deion, defensive backs, he may be the most collectible of all the defensive backs. But then, you've got quarterbacks. You got Lawrence Taylor as, a famous, amazing, iconic player from your parts up there in the Meadowlands area. But I'd be curious what you think about the football market, in so much as I guess consensus is that quarterbacks are what matters. But as a appreciation of the game, I value the running backs. I value the wide receivers. What are your thoughts on that? And it speaks a little bit to the tiers, because I think in the football market there really is, notwithstanding Barry Sanders, notwithstanding Jerry Rice, there is a pretty strong stratification in the tiers around the quarterbacks. And obviously, you pulled out your Troy Aikman. So what do you think about the football market that's specific to the game itself and the different positions, and how collectors tend to gravitate towards quarterbacks?
So that's a great question. So most of the quarterbacks command most of the value. There are the outliers, such as Barry Sanders, Jerry Rice, like you were mentioning. I just feel like it's just certain teams have certain guys that played for those teams that are just fan favorites, whether they won Super Bowls or not. Like Brett from Stacking Slabs, he is a huge Andrew Luck fan. He had a great career, and he has a great following now. There's guys that, like Dan Marino, for instance. Dan Marino has great collectors. He never won a Super Bowl. Position players on defense, there's pretty strong sales. If you look at the Lawrence Taylor PSA 10, that sells for a few thousand. It's not a cheap card. I mean, his raw cards and his nines may be a little more affordable. Some defenders have some value. There was a $100,000 Gem Master sale of Deion Sanders. I think it was on last year or earlier in the year, something like that. So there are some defenders that get strong values. It's just the top tier cards for those guys in their catalogs. I'm very very driven on when someone says a player, my mind goes right towards their top 10% of their card catalog, in my estimation, through my lens. That's just generally how I look at cards and players.
And I've been trending that direction too, if I'm being honest. I think I'm Gen Z. I don't know, a pretty wide ranging, eclectic approach. But as I get older, and as I kind of hone in on, like you said, what do I have in my collection that could move in the direction of something that is, and I'll own it. Yeah, a little bit of a flex. I'm a Curry card collector, which it's hard to flex in that area, in that catalog. But nonetheless, do I want to have a Curry card or two that I can be really proud of? Yeah, I do.
It's nice to do that, right? It's nice to have some cards that you can that is sort of are the foundations or the cornerstones of your collection, and then everything else builds around them. It's truly foundational to have cards like that, and it makes you feel more established in the hobby as a collector. You know, I find. Joe, you got something else?
I was just going to say, I get the golf metaphor. You know, you're playing against yourself. It's really like what's your best possible outcome. But come on, a little competitive fire amongst us collectors. Isn't that okay? Are we allowed to have a little competition? For, you know, we're not all millionaires, so do what you can that's best for you. And then once you acquire it, like flex that PMG green.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, listen, it's the world we live in today. And if you are on social media and you're not sharing your cards, then you know, all the power to you. You don't have to, but it can be fun to do that as well, for sure. Okay, I got comments I want to get to. I got topics for David Novak. David Chase has shown up in the back room from out of nowhere and from Hawaii. He's now in the studio with us. So we'll bring on in just a second David Chase. Let's run through some comments, guys. David, can you give me a minute? David Chase, can you? Yeah, okay. So we're gonna run through some comments. A couple of you guys let us know that we could hear David Novak. Thank you for that. Stukes, 4-hour drive from the Fargo Card Show. Glad to see you made it home safely. Hope you had a great show. Jeff Will says, I already like this guy. He's a Cowboys fan since 1976. Not Yelia shouting out a fellow collector of prime time. Tony Southern Collector loves his song. I would too if I had a song on the top 40 charts, Tony. Splenda says, bro, in the 90s, everyone wanted Emmitt Smith cards. He's right. He says Emmitt and Barry cards were as liquid as Bonds and Griffey in the 90s. He's right. I remember the Barry the 89 score football set came out with the Sanders, the Aikman, the Dion, all these great cards. And then the 90 score supplemental set came out with Emmitt Smith. And that was just like the perfect sequel to the Barry Sanders rookie. So Splenda was right about that comment for sure. Yelia says millennials can hardly afford to pursue the really rare stuff. Well, some can. Situational said I'd have trouble to get so minimal. I won't sell a single card that my dad and I collected when I was a kid. Guess the hobby spectrum is correct. I'm a nostalgic. Good evening, Foul Ball. Rock Latex said millennials are more likely than older generations to embrace minimalist values. Sounds like it resonates with me. And so it's a sweeping statement, but appreciate that comment. Splenda says, I call this trimming the fat off my PC. I think it's a good thing to do, but it's not for everybody. Foul Ball never trims fat from his collection. I respect that. Midlife says card equity is an opportunity cost decision every day. He's saying if you have cards and you could sell them and do other things with that money, but you're deciding to keep the cards. He also says that Joe flexes on me every time he has a new purchase. Same here, Greg. Jeff Will says Cajun Cardboard dismissed Kabooms in downtown. So why are we mentioning him as an expert? Well, Jeff, I mean, listen, he's got wins as well. You know what I mean? Let's be fair here. He's got some wins as well. And opinions are not going to be perfect. So I definitely give Cajun a pass. Jim says to me, Jeremy, it feels like our vintage-ish representation at card shows is becoming a trimmed bonsai tree taken over by TCG cards. Yeah, that's a whole other topic, but I hear you, Jim. And then Jeff says, exactly, nobody can predict the future, so these hobby elites telling you what to collect should be ignored. I think it depends on what you're doing in the hobby and how long your horizon is, because if you are not ignoring these hobby elites, whatever that even really means, I guess it's people who other people listen to that have money. If they change their mind, yeah, you could be left holding the bag. I think that's a risk in the hobby overall, that you're left holding a bag. David, do you agree with that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, indeed.
Okay. All right. Okay, so we got through some comments there, which is great. Let's bring on David Chase. He's just here briefly because he's on vacation. David, here we go. Welcome. How are you, buddy?
Hi, David. Hi, Joe. Hi, Jeremy. Good to see you all.
Hey,
Aloha.
David Chase. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Good to see you. Well, we're in the discussion here. Anything you've heard that you want to opine on thus far?
Yeah, I mean it's very interesting, and I like how David, you're going after the 90s football. I think that is like a really interesting lane to go through. I really like looking at football cards. I really think that we as a hobby need to branch out more than the quarterback for football cards to really gain the way we all hope it will eventually, right? It's first of all, it's very US centric. It has to be able to broaden internationally. And then, like, man, there's just such a small handful of players that are popular outside of the quarterbacks. I just think that football is such a team sport and there's so many different positions. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think for football to be what we want it to be someday, we have to start going after other positions besides the top one or two of each position outside of quarterback, you know?
Good comment. Yeah, fair. Any response to that, David Novak?
Yes, I agree 100%. I would also say like the running backs, like depending on like the fantasy points that these guys get, like there could be like certain fantasy studs that get all these points, these receivers that could actually become drivers and set values for these guys. Like, for example, Justin Jefferson, if he gets traded, for example, to another team that has like a rock star quarterback, and then he gets like 125 catches and helps that team get to the Super Bowl, he could help drive that position for the modern, and then that could bring up people who collect Jerry Rice cards, for example. That could also set the values for those too. So I think it's like a chain reaction for a lot of different potential throughout the market.
Makes sense to you, Chase?
Yeah, it totally makes sense to me, but it still scares me a little because even when we're talking about these amazing wide receivers, right? Jerry Rice, and then Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, like what is their market, right? It's not the strongest market in the world for these crazy, incredible wide receivers out there. I know that there is a market for them, but I feel like it should be a bigger market for those kind of crazy, amazing wide receivers that are generational, right? So it scares me about like the Justin Jeffersons of the world, because if Terrell Owens or Calvin Johnson are not that heavily collected. I know they're collected, but they're just not at that GOAT level of collecting. It scares me to go into any current wide receiver. You know what I'm saying?
Fair. I think so. Okay. I wanted to, if we can, make us a bit of a segue here, Novak, from the way that millennials, the consolidation, the smaller collection, the way they're looking at cards, and the way you're looking at cards, and other people are looking at cards, into the world of investing in cards, and can cards be investments, and how millennials are looking at cards as a representative of the generation of millennials yourself, David Novak. Tell us a little bit about how you are noticing your contemporaries approach the hobby. Are cards investments? Are they purely collectibles? You came out as a nostalgic. You're more on the collector side of the spectrum. Where do you see a lot of these other millennials falling on the spectrum as collectors? Are they more on the investing side? Are they and not only that, are any people that you're aware of, instead of investing in their 401k and into more typical or traditional investments, are they investing in cardboard instead of a more traditional retirement account?
So that's a great question. So as a matter of fact, I just recently took a loan on my 401k through my job, and I actually used some of the money to buy some more sports cards, which is a very untraditional way for many individuals in the hobby. I would say my generation is more likely to take chances based upon what we see in society. For example, I don't want to turn this into politics, of course, but like how we view Social Security. We don't know if it's going to be around when we're old enough. Like we're more likely to take chances and more calculated risks with our own investment portfolio and use 401k funds to add in addition to work money to make moves, to make purchases on certain cards. Basically, like I don't see anything wrong with a $50 deduction each week, and you're paying yourself back the interest. You're not using a financial institution to pay a loan of like $10,000, for example. Like, let's just say if you take home after taxes, let's say Jack takes home after taxes $1,800 a week. I think he could afford $50 a week for the next few years, and he could pay that loan off quick through his job. If he feels that he's secure and comfortable in those positions. I just feel there's more people in my position that want to take those chances with their 401k. Not anything more than 10% of it, of course, but a small percentage. They could use some of that money that they're not going to touch for the next 20 to 30 years anyway. Why not use some of that in addition to work money to make moves to build out the collection?
So what I'm hearing, I think you're saying, is that millennials are, and not only millennials, but in this case, millennials are more likely to use sports cards as maybe like a diversification strategy within their overall investing world. And because, I mean, let's face it, retirement funds are not very exciting, but they're good to have for that rainy day that hopefully inevitably comes as we age. So is that kind of what you're saying there, that it's more of a diversification thing versus going all in, which I'm sure some people are doing too? Is that where you're at, what you're saying?
Yeah, basically, like if you take a small percentage of you're able to contact Fidelity, for example, and you're able to talk to them and qualify to make sure you have X amount in your portfolio and that it's safe, it's established, and you can use the money to use your own money and pay the interest back each paycheck, and that goes back into your 401k. So you're basically taking a loan out to pay yourself back the interest on 6%, for example.
Okay, so I think that might be confusing to some people.
Yeah,
which is fair, but let me read a few comments that have come in since we started this line of discussion, and you can respond to them. Then we'll get Joe and David Chase's thoughts on the topic as well. E105 says, please don't borrow from your future to buy cards, kids. Jeff Will says, 401k loan, ouch. With loans, you could be buying back those stock indices at a higher price, so it's more than just interest. So keep that one in mind, David Novak. JG says, do not take money out of your 401k. People have zero limits and can't help themselves. Vintage Card Collector says, 401k loan to buy cards is one of the most foolish things I've heard in a while. Ouch. And Skeppy says, don't take loans on retirement money and don't spend retirement money on cards, kids. Gen X here, by the way. So lots of sort of maybe call it pushback. Now, one thing that I'll just sort of say about all this before we go back to you, Novak, is that when you're dealing with an investment advisor, a financial planner, someone who's managing your money for you, the first questions they ask you is, what level of risk are you willing to take on in your investments? It's not just about sports cards. It's the level of aggression they're going to take in deploying your investment dollars into the various options they have from which to invest in. So I also think that the younger you are, the more risk you can take because you have more time to recover from any risks, any investments that go sideways on you. And you just have more time on your side. Personally, I've always been risk averse. I don't like that big risk. That said, I probably have a higher percent of my net worth in sports cards than most people do. I'm very comfortable with that for myself. I'm okay though. Don't worry about me, guys. I've got my retirement funds are good. They're good. But that said, still saying the situation still is that I'm heavy in sports cards as far as net worth goes. But it comes down to risk. It comes down to where you are in life. And I would say that if you do want to invest in sports cards and you do see the potential there and you believe in it, the younger you are, the more I would be okay with you doing that. If you're smart and responsible, I'm not talking about gambling and all that, smart and responsible, not prospecting, I don't think, although you can get lucky. But anyway, my point is it comes down to horizon in many ways. And when it comes to this, so I'm not going to tell anyone to go do it. And I don't think you are either, David Novak. but you're comfortable that you just did some of that. But respond now to all that, and then we'll go to Joe and David Chase. Give you one more chance though to speak up.
So from the chat, that's fair criticism. I totally understand it. It's very untraditional for individuals to do it. It may appear to be reckless. I'm very frugal. Like, I bring my coffee to work. I try to eat lunches that are like $5 to $6. Like, I bring food. Like, if I'm basically allocating like my card budget $50 a week, it could just be coming out through Fidelity instead of it just taking, okay, $50, $100, and then just putting it into the card market. I'm just basically doing it in a controlled environment with the stock market. I mean, it's not controlled obviously, but it's just like, it's set. The money comes out of the paycheck, and it's a very small percentage. Like, it's $200 a month. I mean, I think if we're all honest, we pay for a lot of subscriptions for like Netflix and a lot of just other stuff in our lives. That's almost $200 these days. Like, I'm a very frugal person. I make sure my kids have everything they need. I take them to hitting lessons once a week. We do a lot of stuff like that. I do a lot with them. Go on a few vacations a year. So it's like, it's not really that harmful on my back page. It's $50 a week. Like, it's just, you know what I mean? I think we all could find $50 a week if we're careful. Like, we bring our coffee. We're not having $20 lunches. There are a lot of people my age that do eat $25 lunches. And I hate to see people do that, because it's like, you do that so many times, you could do a lot with that money. So I'm very analytical with my behaviors and things that I do. Like, I understand the criticism from everybody. It's cool. I'm okay with it. But I do think that there are individuals that are in my position that are okay with taking like a small percentage of their 401k and using some of it to put into the cards, in addition to work money and card capital to get yourself a significant card. Again, it all comes down to like comfort level.
I think you're right. It's going to be different for everybody, whatever you're comfortable with, but the internet has a lot of opinions, and they're not afraid to share them, as we're seeing it in some of the chat right now. So, but that's okay. People, it's the way it goes. Joe, I know that you're going to share your thoughts, and you're going to bounce, maybe come back a little bit later for the last bit of the show. What are you thinking right now, Joe Perot?
Well, I'm not worried about David Novak's financial responsibility whatsoever. I think he's on a great path. In fact, it's kind of refreshing to see someone that scores 25 in the nostalgia range who's also consolidating into PMGs. Like, I love that mixture of impulses. What I would say, and I'm really, no one should take financial advice from me, because I have not made great decisions, and I'm probably risk averse to a fault. David Chase, we should talk about real estate someday, because I missed the boat on that. But what I would say is that everything David Novak was saying about, when we're talking about the generations and millennials, rings true to me, because I think they've grown up in the age of entrepreneurialism, and I think that they've seen the opportunities, and there's just a little bit more, like, whereas me, Gen X or whatever Gen I am, we're more traditional, and like we're hearing in the chat, it's like, do this, do that, max out your 401k, this, that, and the other. That has not always gotten everybody, and the world is different. So in that light, I would sort of agree how David Novak is characterizing things, and it makes sense to me. It resonates with what I see with students that I've taught. They're pushing into ideas, they're pushing into paths that are atypical or non-traditional. And that's not to say that they're not sometimes, landing on their bottom sides, but it is to say that I think it's just much more within the realm of their own wheelhouses and how they've seen people around them do well in their worlds, both in terms of like purpose and finances.
Good. Yeah. Thank you, Joe. Good comments. No, seriously. I mean, I thought that was great. So thank you. And are you now going to bounce?
Yeah, I'm going to bounce, and I'm going to say aloha to David Chase. I'm hoping I can come back later. Yeah, do the loose shaka, David. That'll show the locals. You don't do this.
Teach me.
Yeah, you almost want it just barely hanging.
Oh, okay. Lazy. Okay, got it.
All right.
Good steed. But
All right,
anyway.
Joe. We'll see you in a little later.
Bye, buddy.
Thanks.
All right, David Chase, what do you think about all this investing in sports cards talk? I mean, yeah, here he is on vacation. He's got to get himself intertwined in this conversation now, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, David, everybody has their own opinion, right? And people are going to. I knew right when you said that you're going to get a lot of pushback for that. So just don't take it to heart as we just talk even about different opinions on this. Okay. Like this is nothing personally versus what you're saying. I'm a mortgage broker. I help people out of debt all the time. There's a lot of people that I talk to that took 401k loans. I feel like most of them do not pay them back. That's just in general. Some do. Right. But a lot of them don't, and they have good intentions, but it's very easy to not pay them back. And I see that happen very often. A lot of the younger generation also have kind of been burned because housing prices are so unaffordable for the younger generations. So it's made it where they've had to look in alternative ways to for investments. Right, which is part of the crypto was a big one a couple of years ago, right, where people were putting a certain percent. Some of these younger people are putting in 50% of their money into crypto and making crazy amounts of money, and then they were showing all their friends that they did it, and then they looked like that they were geniuses until they weren't. And sports cards, right, like they've been in a very high trajectory, right? So everyone's kind of a genius right now with sports cards, but a lot of us that have been also around during the junk wax era, right? We saw our collections go to nothing, right? For the big collections that we had, but that wasn't for everything, right? But that was during that time. So, it's one of these things where I'm not giving financial advice either, but I do think that compounding interest in a 401k is a very good base for everybody to have. And in a perfect world, I would love to recommend using your excess funds that's outside of your 401k for the hobby, even though I know it's not perfect for everybody. But in a perfect world, that's what I would recommend for my family. How about that? Right, that's my best way of saying it.
Dave Novak, you're back up.
I totally respect it. I appreciate that sound perfect feedback. I really respect it a lot. It means a lot, and I appreciate it. I just feel also I have 15% every week contributing into my 401k. My company matches 6%, so it's every week it's 21% getting injected in. You know what I mean? So it's it's a Fortune 500 company, so it's I feel pretty comfortable, Again, if I felt very insecure in my position in life, if I had like a borderline divorce going on in my life or something like that, I would definitely wouldn't be taking these shots and stuff like that. But it's just I'm at the point where my kids are getting older. They're going to be teenagers soon. Dad's not as cool as he used to be and stuff. So I'm trying to that's why I'm here. I want to get more involved with content. It's a good outlet. So it's basically where I'm at right now.
Yeah. No, great stuff, David. David Chase. Listen, this is I told David Novak the other day. I said you're gonna get some pushback on this topic for sure. I knew it was coming. But hey, we're here to have some fun and have some conversation and talk about the uncomfortable. We can do that in many cases, not all, of course, but in many cases. So good. Let's go ahead, David Chase.
And David's not alone with this, right? There's a lot of people that are doing things like that. And there's a lot of people that are going into debt into sports cards. And there's a lot of people that are borrowing on credit cards, but they're probably not saying it on this kind of a platform. So you know what, David, you're brave to even make comments like that, which you're not going absolutely crazy. You're not saying I'm putting my entire 401k in it. You're saying you're putting in a sliver of it. And I do think that it's an interesting perspective to talk about, even though everybody is, a genius when they're thinking of themselves. And trust me, there's more people that are in debt in these kind of scenarios than what we all think.
Well, let me. Oh, go ahead, Novak. Go ahead.
Sorry, just want to add one thing. So if I'm paying, I have like no credit card debt. I want to say, like, if there are individuals who do have credit card debt and they are buying sports cards, that to me, it's just like you're making bad choices then. Like, I'm actually making more, in my eyes, more of a sound investment using like a check from Fidelity that I got from my job that I've been putting into, and using like work money as well to make moves to buy these cards. So it's like, why do individuals want to criticize me, which is fine, but yet they may have credit card debt, they may have significant issues and stuff, which is fine. I mean, I'm not here to judge anybody and stuff like that. I just want to point that out, that there are individuals who are up to here with like debt, that have $1,000 car payments, buying cards, which, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Well, it's fun. It's fun. It's funny. It's interesting. Personally, myself, my financial situation, I haven't invested in my retirement fund in a couple of years because I feel I can do better as a solo investor than my financial planner can. But also understand that the direction that I've given and my mandate for my estate is one of low risk. I am not swinging for home runs in my long-term financial planning and my long-term investments, which I don't even pay attention to. Like I don't look at. I was just every month I mark to market. I mentioned that before, but and so I see the ups and downs. I don't like it. They're never big. They're never huge. They're never in either direction. It's just sort of like this, just sort of coast along year over year. But I don't want to take X amount of dollars and put it in there when I think I can do better elsewhere. And one of those places that I think I can do better based on my 46 years of experience in the hobby, not anyone else's experience in the hobby, just mine, is I think I can do better in sports cards as an investment with certain cards. I have cards that I don't care about the value. Then I have cards that I care greatly about the value because I deploy significant capital into them. So I'm not telling anyone else to do that because you have to be comfortable with it. So I'm a bit of an interesting case because I'm very conservative in retirement fund investing, let's say, but I'm not so conservative when it comes to buying sports cards. I'm buying sports cards all the time. I'm deploying investment-worthy capital into them, not all the time, but regularly throughout the year. So I think I can do better than my investment manager does, and it's been proven that I can. I have done better than he's done, and by me, in that case, I'm talking about sports cards. Sports cards have provided me with a better return on investment than anything else besides maybe picking one stock like an NVIDIA or something and riding that all the way, which I didn't even know about when I could have gotten it cheap enough. So because I don't pay attention to those markets, I'm not interested in them. But if I could go back and invest 10 times the amount of money I have into sports cards, I'd be a 9-figure guy, easily. I'd easily be 100 millionaire if I could do that right now. And I'm not 100 millionaire, not yet, but I'm not. So, but had I done what I just said, I would be, and that would be so. But listen, we've missed the boat on a lot of those cards. But David Chase, I think you mentioned the junk wax era. Those collections went to zero. Bro, I've been collecting hard since like 1982 is when I really started compiling a collection. I went through the junk wax era. I had a shop in the junk wax era, 91 to 94. I came out smelling like roses when it comes to the cards that I had at the end of the junk wax era into the early 2000s. And from there, it's just been nothing but that as far as the values of cards that I've owned. I've sold many cards too early, many. I could have made a lot more money if I would have held out, but I extracted money out of the card investment pool to further other areas of life. And at one point to buy a Joe Jackson card, which was card for card. But point being, I've read a lot of the comments in the chat, and not giving any advice here, but there's a lot of people in the chat who would like to give advice, but they're also, I don't know who they are. They're anonymous, many of them, but the people in the chat who we know are making comments are actually quite sophisticated in many ways, and understand that, just the blanket statement of cards aren't investments and don't treat them as investments. You can't invest in sports cards. That's from people who probably have never been able to be successful doing it. But I know you can do it because I've done it. And I've continued to do it through the ups and the downs over 4 decades. So it's just kind of like either you know or you don't, but that's it. Wait till you have the experience and the confidence to do it, because many people don't, and that's fine. You're not ready for it, or you're just not good enough at sports cards to know how to make money doing it in the long run, which is okay. Maybe you'll get there one day. Maybe you won't, and then that's fine. Collect and enjoy it in the way you do. Purists, big part of the hobby. Nothing wrong. It's a wonderful place to be, and there's no pressure. There's no pressure when you're simply a collector. You don't have to worry about anything, but you also don't get to experience some of the thrills as well, I suppose. Yes, David Chase.
Would you feel different, Jeremy, if somebody is thinking this way with ultra modern versus vintage in these kind of thoughts?
Well, I don't know, but I will tell you that everything I just told you, I've never been an ultra modern. I've never been an ultra modern collector vester sort of thing. I have bought cards in the years that they've come out. But dude, when Upper Deck put out the Cup in 2005, the exquisite hockey, I think I was the third person to buy a Sidney Crosby RPA on eBay. I think I paid $3,000. I think I later sold that card for $15,000. And I'm like, well, the money's just too much. But I've personally owned 5 or 6 of the 99 Crosby RPAs, about 4 or 5 of the Ovechkins. I don't own a single one anymore. Didn't lose money on any of those cards. I probably made 5 figures on each of those cards. So I'm not somebody who's never been into ultra modern, but really at least since COVID, I do not dabble in ultra modern at all, unless someone gifts me a card for, sort of thing. So no. But it's also not only vintage, David. I do believe in modern, call it whatever, the 80s through until 2012, 2013. I have a lot of faith in some cards. Not that I don't have faith in the Prism Gold era. Oh, I think I do have faith in that era, or those and some cards from the era. So sorry, that's my answer to your question.
Yeah, but with that, how about players that are playing currently compared to players who are not playing anymore? If you're talking about putting your investment kind of thing, you're still, even when you're talking about modern, you're still talking about most of these players that are really not around anymore, right?
The only player that I currently would consider myself investing in, I have cards, we all do, I think. Well, you and I do both, David, and you too, Novak, right? We buy cards that we collect them and they are investments at the same time. Yeah, that's fine and dandy. The only active player that I can think of that I do that with now is Sidney Crosby in hockey. I'm not collecting any active basketball players, but I would collect Steph. I would collect Steph if I could afford him, if I wanted to deploy that capital that way. Football, there's no active players that I collect. Baseball, I think I'm confident enough in Shohei, but that's about it. So there's less than one hand over 4 major sports there, David, that I'd be willing to collect. No, I prefer players whose careers are over. There's fewer things that they can do to mess up their resume, their reputation. Is that kind of what you were thinking?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. But that was also what I was thinking of. If somebody's listening to this and thinking about investing in the hobby, and it is such a fun way to be kind of gambling on ultra modern players and watching them do that, I think that's a scarier way to invest in the long term compared to what you're talking about with your knowledge, with both of your knowledge, knowing that the people that are retired, that are the GOATs, And going for those kind of players is just a different beast than buying, who's ever hot at the moment or the hot rookies and things like that.
Yeah, what you're talking about there, I consider to be straight up gambling, unless you are in the locker room or, as another player or, a reporter, and you actually know what's going on in these players' lives. You know their families, their friends, who they travel with. Is this someone who's likely to do something stupid, like pull out a gun or something like that? Then, stay away. But we're not you and me, David, all the three of us, me and the two Davids, we're not in these locker rooms. We don't know what these players are doing, who they're dating, who they're married to and dating. Like, we don't know anything about we hear things, but it's probably all, it's just fabricated rumors. So point being, I think it's way too risky for me. I do not invest in modern players, current players, unless they are like guaranteed Hall of Famers, like Sidney Crosby and Steph Curry are. These guys are guaranteed to make their Hall of Fames, first time they're eligible. David Novak, yes.
I just would like to add one thing. In my humble opinion, like, I love sports. I love the Cowboys. I watch a little bit of other sports as well. But in my opinion, I feel that today's athletes don't play like they used to, like the vintage guys and the older guys, because they're getting such large sums of money that they just don't know how to handle properly. And they might not have the best people around them. They might have some women around them. They might have bad decisions and easy choices to steer the ship in the wrong direction. So, like, in my opinion, I think it's harder for today's athlete to become an actual legend. The road to get there is harder because, like in football, there has to be a lot of players to do a lot of things right at the same time. And a lot of these guys are getting paid a lot of money. There's a lot of egos. I just think the game's a lot different, too, in all these sports. It's not like it was in the 90s, the 80s, and prior. I think the mindset of the athlete is way different today.
Absolutely. I mean, you've raised another interesting difference there, Novak, which is that, investing in modern players, current players, is risky from an injury perspective as well. But with load management, especially in the NBA, and the, just the lack of toughness, let's say, but for some players, not all, I think, they're more likely to have longer careers, but they don't need to. At the same time, these guys have $500 million in the bank by the time they're 30, some of these guys. Why continue to risk injury, concussion, Achilles, any of these things, especially, concussion from a football perspective? And I know $500 million is a lot of money, and there's only a few players making that kind of money, but whatever. $200 million in the bank is good enough for you and a few generations, I think, at this point in the world. So, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Any other comments on that, David Chase or David? No, yeah, Chase, go ahead.
Yeah, I noticed that you left off LeBron and Mahomes. Was that on purpose?
No, I don't own a Mahomes card, so I can't say I collect Mahomes. And I don't think I'd be ready to yet. I know he's got his Super Bowls, but Brady won Super Bowls in his 4th year and his 24th year, right kind of thing. I want to see Mahomes build a resume that spans a longer time, right? A player who's going to be around a long time, I think, is going to bode well. Now, you do have some exceptions to that rule, like a Walter Payton, for example. A short but illustrious career, still has a lot of love. Is Mahomes, does he have the potential for that? Sure. For me, Brady would make more sense when it comes to football. He has, like I said, he has that career. LeBron's an interesting case because he is so hated by so many people, but he is so loved by so many people. This world of, social media, where like MJ didn't get to play in that era, so you can't make that comparison. Would he be as beloved today if he was talking about gambling like he did on social media, or hiding it from social media, maybe even worse? Tough to say. With that said, I do think at the end of the day, LeBron's accomplishments will stand the test of time more so than his tweets. And so I think LeBron, because he has a lot of haters, I think he may be a good candidate for picking up a couple cards, which I've done. I have 2 LeBron cards that I'm not planning to sell. That is my LeBron investment, let's say. I also love owning the cards as a collection, but they are also investments because I spent significant money on them. So I think you're safe with LeBron, and you might be safer there than with some other modern players because he has all of his critics working against him, pushing his prices down a little bit compared to if they weren't there criticizing him. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah,
Totally makes sense. I think that totally makes sense to me. The only thing that scares me about Shohei, by the way, which I agree, he is unlike any other player we've ever seen, is that his cards are just so high, right? Like I probably would have said that a year ago. Is there much room for it to go up? Well, yes, there was room for it to go up. Can that keep happening? Can that happen for another decade? I don't know. I mean, it just seems like it seems like there's more room for it to go down than for it to go up for where those cards are now. But that's me, who you should not be taking advice from, because I do not know anything about modern.
Yeah, fair. Go ahead, Novak.
I would say with Ohtani, like, he's a phenomenal athlete. He's great to watch. But the way this hobby works is he's going to be great until he's not as great, like until he goes in that Mike Trout end, like towards the end of the career point, like where he's like plateaued, and then he just kind of like goes down a little bit, and then there's some new hobby hype that comes in, and they're going to make it like they're going to make Shohei be like the yesterday thing, like kind of like how Trout is. I just think that's how it is. There's going to be somebody that gets 70-70, you know what I mean, or 60 or 80-80 at some point. You know, it's 5, 10 years, 20 years. You know, I think down the road there's going to be like a super athlete that's just going to come out and just do some unthinkable stuff.
Yeah, interesting comment about Shohei right there. You mentioned Trout. I just saw a comment about Trout in the chat here. See if I can quickly find it again. It wasn't right here. Inspired Sports Cards here said Trout is a guaranteed Hall of Famer, and he has come across to the public as a really good person. Nostalgia will hit big time with him in 20 years, in my opinion. That's a good point. I mean, Trout is the. We were also asked about. There's a few other athletes that have been asked about. Jacob Dahl said, "What about Aaron Judge, Jeremy?" I mean, yeah, I think right now, isn't he? He's on the DL. He's hurt. He's out for a bit right now. That's a potential buying opportunity if you are coming at this from an investing angle. If you're looking for long-term hold opportunities, I think one of the problems in the hobby right now is that it comes down to horizon. So many people are looking to make money literally. Some is, same day. Never mind some are looking to make money same day. Buy a card, list it, flip it, same day, same week, same month, same year. The longer your horizon is, the better off you'll be holding cards of guys like Aaron Judge and Mike Trout and LeBron James, among others. But those are just 3 kind of questionable ones right now because they have their critics and because Judge is hurt. Now, I admit it's harder to buy a card of a player when they're hurt than it is when they're doing well. It's harder to buy cards when everything's falling than when everything's rising. But I and many of us have seen these cycles come and go over 40 years in the hobby, that you kind of know that what goes up must come down. And I remember during the last bull run in 2022, I was thinking to myself, man, this is amazing. Like, is this ever going to end? These cards are just going to go up forever. I never thought they would, but like you can't help but notice it, right? And get caught up in it a little bit, but then you have to let logic take hold and say, okay, we've seen this before. And if I didn't learn my lesson in the COVID bull run, I've learned it now. But even now I start thinking to myself, well, here's all the reasons why this might not be a bubble that is about to burst. I think we are in a bubble, but is it about to burst? Or does this bubble have the potential to continue to grow and expand for another decade or 2 or 3? Novak, go ahead.
In addition to what you're saying, I think there's bubbles within bubbles. Like, there's going to be some things that pop. I think there's going to be like guys like the Justin Fields, the Justin Herberts. There's going to be those kind of hype bubbles that will pop. But the bigger bubble is like the blue chip bubble. Like, just look at it that way. The Clementes, the Maris, the Mickey Mantle, Roger, like all the top guys and stuff like that, vintage and all the blue chip guys. I think that's the biggest bubble. I don't think it's going to pop, but I just think that there's little bubbles of like the ultra modern guys and stuff like that are within the big bubble of the hobby, in my opinion.
Interesting interesting angle there, saying that the vintage bubble. I mean, like, you know what though? Down the road, that vintage bubble will, I think it will become more focused versus smaller. You know, I think it'll, similar to what you opened with in that the Pareto principle stuff. We might start forgetting, the hobby I think will start forgetting about lower tier Hall of Famers and the legends who transcend the sport, who transcend the hobby, like the Muhammad Ali's, the Tiger Woods, the Jackies, the Babe Ruths, the Jordans. I mean, the Messis, those guys I think can outlast the bubble. The bubble might burst, but those guys are flying above the bubble, sort of thing, in many ways. So yeah, just some thoughts there. Does that kind of make sense? And sometimes I ask if that makes sense, David Novak, because I'm actually saying, did I answer your question? Because I am distracted a lot of the time. So I'm just making sure I was on point there too. So, okay, I was good to hear. All right. Chris McGill's entered the studio, everybody. Chris, you ready to come on? He's ready. Let's bring on everybody. Please welcome Chris McGill to Sports Cards Live yet again. Chris, say hi to Mr. Novak and Mr. Chase.
Hello to Mr. Novak and to Mr. Chase.
Hey, Chris, how are you? Nice to meet you, sir.
You too, David. Great to put a face to the great Instagram account. I was looking at some of your cards before I came on. I mean, you got some of the best 90s football stuff, man. I was looking at that stuff. I was like, and I was actually looking at the pile of, you said you traded some stuff, and I think maybe it ended up in that PMG green, but like you had a Quantum Gold 1/1 Brett Favre in there, and you had 98 Legacy Showcase 1/1 masterpiece of Favre. I was just like, man, this is eye candy. This is stuff I love.
Hey, thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, I used all of those cards and money, not 401k money, but other money to get the green PMG Aikman. So it was
congrats.
Really, thank you very much. It was really something I wanted, so I just had to make that move. So
oh, congrats, man. I don't know if we get a chance to do this at this segment of the show or not. I'd love to just hear a little bit more about like collecting 90s football. Like your bio on IG says focus on 97 and 98 football. I'm fascinated by that genre right now. So I don't know, Jeremy, don't let me comment.
No, man.
Here, okay.
Listen, if there's something you'd like to extract from David Novak's brain right now, some information you're interested in, I got to think other people would be as well. So feel free. But before you do that, Josh Adams has entered the studio as well. We're going to bring him. Josh, give me a thumbs up if you're good to go. Everyone, please welcome the hobby's favorite lawyer on Sports Cards Live,
thanks.
Mr. Joshua Adams. Welcome to the show. Please meet David Novak, Josh.
David, we've talked before. Nice to meet you.
nice to meet you, Joshua.
Christopher, how are you? David, I see you're having fun playing Call of Duty. So it's nice to see you on here. What's going on?
Well, we're on a heater here. Josh Adams, the heater of a month here on Sports Cards Live, and we're going 5-way right now. So where we are, Hoj just sort of posed a question back to Novak. Novak, we're going to give you a moment to respond to Chris Hoj and fill him in on your thoughts on 90s football. I've got over 30 comments that I want to get to soon, and we'll rip through them. But let's go to Novak first. Then maybe we'll give everyone a breath. We'll go through some comments. So Novak, over to you.
So now I brought some data and stuff like that.
Oh no, Chris loves data.
Yeah, I come prepared. So basically, like, now obviously Jordan is Jordan. I don't want to take anything away from him, of course. But I really found some interesting data that basically in the 90s, I was reviewing like which dynasty had more Nielsen TV ratings. And from my data research, I found that the Dallas Cowboys had a higher TV rating than the 90s Chicago Bulls. Now, this isn't nothing against Michael Jordan, of course. And obviously, he's the king of the hobby, in my opinion. But based upon my data, I found that Bulls versus Jazz, the finals average was 18.7 Nielsen rating. Game 6 was rated at 22.3. with 35.89 million viewers. Now, when looking at the Dallas Cowboys dynasty through the Nielsen ratings perspective, there was the rating was 30 during the Super Bowls, and the 96 Super Bowl had 90 million views, but it's just like it's never translated over to the cardboard. To me, I feel that it's just like it's a pool that there's not a lot of people in. I mean, there are, but there aren't. It's a fun lane. Like, I just love the Dallas Cowboys. Troy Aikman's been my guy most of my life, and I've always gotten cards of him, posting here, posting there of him. And I just like a lot of the guys. Like, I like Brett Favre, John Elway. I will pick up some of their cards here and there, but I just mainly focus on the 97 and 98 catalog. 99 stuff is nice, but it's just they exchange hands way too much, in my opinion. So I just generally stay away from 99. And in 96 in football, they just don't have the best of the best. I think it's just 97, 98 if you just analyze like the scarcity element, the historical relevance, and obviously the prices and stuff. So
one comment before Hoj responds, because it'll be a bit different than what Hoj is going to say, I think, is that where we're at in the hobby right now with Fanatics having the football licenses as of April of this year, so this new Fanatics football era, and with what Michael Rubin has been able to do already, he has, I don't know if he's 10x the hobby yet, but I think he's well on his way to meeting that. Like, listen, I'm not saying it's happening this year, but I think he is on his way to accomplishing that publicly stated goal. Is that if anyone is going to be able to convert the sports fan into the sports card collector, I think it's Michael Rubin at the helm of Fanatics. For better or for worse, good or bad, however you want, whatever way you want to look at it, I do believe that the hobby is in the best position it's ever been to convert the sports fan to the sports card collector because of the reach and marketing savvy of Fanatics with Michael Rubin at the helm. I mean, just look, they got Tom Brady opening stores across North America. They're about to launch a chain with Lewis Hamilton and David Adams Card World. So just wanted to throw that in. Chris, let's go to you to respond to Novak.
Yeah, sure. David Novak, did you want to have any comments on Jeremy's point there before I jump in? Because sometimes I don't, maybe there's something.
Thank you, Chris.
Sure.
Thank you.
The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. I yielded my time, but you yielded it back. Let's go. All right. So I don't know. There's two paths. You went down two different paths that I liked. Let me start with the 96 versus 97, 98 path. I'm also, I've discovered rather recently, I think, that I'm really a 97 and later collector. So, and I'm fascinated by 97 and 98 for a variety of reasons. I'm curious for your reasons, like maybe more specifics, like why is it not 96? What is it about 97 and 98?
So through my view, 96 in football does not have like the cream of the crop parallels and inserts. Pinnacle was really impressive with the innovation that they provided during those times. There was just a lot of issues with those cards. The print runs aren't really clear and defined. There's a lot of fake cards. I come across like a lot of like sheets too of these cards. So I think the market just doesn't have a lot of confidence in that, into those cards. They are very nice cards though, but I just think 97, 98 just when Fleer just went crazy. They just did the best that they could, because I think Pinnacle was like really peaking as well, and they were really trying to compete with Pinnacle because Pinnacle was just putting cards in cans. They were just doing all types of crazy stuff, and then Fleer is just trying to match and beat them. And it was just like you'll see like the green PMG was like, for like Barry Sanders was like the 10th best card in the Beckett or something along those lines. It's just like the hobby narrative's changed, and I just think that if you really analyze like the catalogs, the sets, like you do it through your content, which I'm a fan of course, I just feel like the best of the best is the 97, 98 with Fleer. And that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I love it, man. It's not often that I get to go back and forth, at least not in the hour in which we bend space and time continuum, about late 90s football sets. So let me can I just tag in Joshua Adams Esquire? because Josh, I know you love the late 90s stuff. I don't know if you're ready to talk about a few of your late 90s pickups, rookie cards, cornerbacks, but I just want to tap you in to see if you want to chime in here.
Yeah, man, there's in the late 90s football has some really great like parallels, some really great inserts, just kind of everything you guys said. And that's when Charles Woodson came on the scene, which is like it's like 5 different types of collectors collect him. And then you've got PMGs, you got most of the parallels that were in basketball and football, but then football's got some other parallels that are not in any other sport. And I'll give you an example, like the cut above in football has the full circle, whereas basketball just has the bottom is leveled off. And it's great. No, it's love football cards. A lot of people collect football cards.
Nice.
And Christopher, Jeremy, I'll address your other comment about the Fnatic CEO later on in the show.
Oh, you can go ahead. You can go ahead and do that right now, Josh Adams.
I have thoughts. I significantly disagree with that comment that he's converting people to collectors. He's converting people to addicted gamblers, but not to collectors.
Oh, that's okay.
I think he's terrible for the hobby.
Okay, no, listen, fair opinion. And I didn't, I think when I think about growing the hobby, I'm thinking about it at the industry level. Really, I'm thinking about it from from the amount of people I'm seeing at card shows, the amount of money I'm seeing cards go for. I mean, I've been to several card shows this year. They're busier than they've ever been. So I'm seeing more and more people collecting. And I think the one thing I'll say that I think is what you said has some truth, but it's not absolutely true. There are a lot of people who are discovering the hobby because of Tom Brady opening stores, because of Mr. Wonderful wearing the necklace on the red carpet. People are discovering the hobby and becoming real collectors. But yes, many of them are becoming cardboard gamblers as well. No doubt about that. I mean, opening wax is gambling. Opening any product of wax is gambling. I mean, yes, you can enjoy doing it with your kid. It's fine. But you are gambling. You're gambling with your kid. Now, I guess it just depends what your financial situation is as well, right? Not everybody has to be gambling to spend big money in cards, but I think many people do. So fair comment. I mean, listen, but I don't think you can argue that Fanatics is growing the hobby. The hobby, Josh, not the number of collectors. Because remember, collecting is just a part of it. The hobby the hobby is an industry. It's an industry now.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we got that done. Anything else, David Novak, on the topic, or David Chase, or go ahead, Novak?
I was also going to mention, I think 90s cards too, like, have lots of great cards that aren't really dependent on aren't dependent on the grade. I think most of the best cards are not PSA 10s. I think a lot of them, the authentic altered cards, as a matter of fact, there's a lot of good cards out there, like green PMGs. Like I've seen like a green John Elway that's authentic altered, and I find that to be a great card. I mean, many people wouldn't want to touch it, but I think maybe it's altered because the card, through the opinion of the grader that day, maybe the edge cut, the way the card was cut, might not have lined up perfectly to their standard, and maybe that's why they put authentic altered. I just think that there's a lot of good cards that are in authentic slabs from the 90s that are just really overlooked at the moment.
I agree with that, David Novak. I'm still discovering cards from the 90s that I've never seen before, and I'm like, wow, this is beautiful. People just aren't onto a lot of them yet. Will they get there? I don't know. And hopefully they don't. Hopefully there are still some cards that remain affordable to the masses, because we see a lot of people regularly complaining that, and justifiably so, that they can't afford the hobby anymore. And that's got so much more to do than any one company or any one league. Really, if anything, the leagues and the PAs are driving the price of wax to an extent. Yes, they saw that they could get more for it when COVID happened and the rise of the breaker. They thought, wow, there's potential here. We better get our piece. And now Fanatics and other licensors or licensees, I guess, need to be able to pay those fees, pay those dues. When the leagues are your partners and the PAs are your partners, they have to answer to them. So yeah, listen, the hobby is different than it ever was, and it's not for everybody anymore. That said, when I say that, I'm talking about ultra modern product off the shelf. That said, you can go to any LCS, most LCSs, with $100 and come out with 100 cards for a collection if you want. You can go to Burbank Sports Cards in LA and go into the fishbowl there and just have your way in those dollar boxes and come out with a nice collection. But the kids want to open packs and get the hits. So it's kind of just like a circular discussion. I don't know that it's ever going to be worked out. Who put up their hand? Was that Che? It was Josh Adams. Go ahead, Josh.
Well, you just said the hobby's not for everyone anymore. Well, then how can you also say that Fanatics is now making the hobby more inclusive to people? I think the hobby's growing, but not because of Fanatics.
Well, maybe they're bringing in 100 people who make 150 grand a year, and they're only losing 50 people who are making 50 grand a year. I don't know. I mean, the fact of the matter is, I'm seeing more people at card shows than ever before. And cards are selling for more than ever before. And product can't be kept in stock more than ever before. So, that's how and maybe it has nothing to do with Fanatics. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe Fanatics is getting lucky coming into the right time. I'm just looking at the indicators, Josh. I'm looking at Tom Brady talking about Karl Anthony Towns on, I think, the Seth Meyers show the other night, talking about being on Fanatics Collect opening up cards. I mean, to say he's had nothing to do with it is naive, I would say. To say that he's had everything to do with it is also naive. So it's somewhere in the middle of that. It's a spectrum, Josh, just like everything else. It's somewhere in between. So, okay. David Chase, how are you doing? You're on vacation. Are you sticking around for a bit? Do you have anything to say? Are you? I just want to know where you're at.
Yeah, I have a few more minutes, but I just want to know.
Now we can't hear you.
Sorry, can you not hear me? Yeah, so I ended up, Josh, when you just ended up mentioning, it is growing though, right? Even though you don't feel like it's because of Fanatics. What were you thinking there when you were saying that? Like, why is it growing if it doesn't have to do with Fanatics?
You're muted, Josh.
Uh-oh. How about now?
You're good.
All right, I think it's my table just fell. I think it's growing just the natural course of things. Social media helps a lot. I mean, Fanatics has a hand in it. You can't say it doesn't. But I don't think they're as responsible for such a growth. And who knows how long it's going to last?
Well, that's the other thing. Who knows who knows how long it's going to last? But I'll tell you. Listen, whether you like Michael Rubin or not, I've never spoken a word to Michael Rubin. I think I've spoken 3 words to Michael Mahan, I believe is his second in command at Fanatics. That was at the National like 3 years ago when he walked by. I said, "Hey, how's it going?" He said, "Good." He goes, "I'm Michael Mann." I said, "I know who you are." And that was like, then his crew came and they continued on. That was like the extent of the conversation. So I don't know much about the higher ups at Fanatics at all. But that said, it seems to me like something is, you know what? I'll just leave it. Maybe they got lucky. Maybe they just got lucky and they came in, but I don't know. I think that there's got to be something there because the timeline, the horizon here. They've got, we don't know how long these licenses are for, but the fact, I mean, you just think about the fact that Michael Rubin can reach out to the owner of any franchise in professional sports, can reach out to the commissioner of any franchise, and can reach out to the superstars in any sport. I mean, that's power like no other card company executive has ever had. That is accessibility like no other card company CEO has ever had in the past, maybe since Cy Berger, and that was only baseball for the most part. So I think, I'm not too certain, but so I don't know. I think he's got a significant amount to do with like significant, there's a term in accounting called significant influence. I think Michael Rubin and Fanatics have significant influence, but I agree with Josh. It's not just them. Social media has a lot to do with it as well, and other things I'm sure as well. So back to you, Josh Adams.
Do you think anything will happen negatively with the hobby if baseball goes on strike next year, which is looking like it will be?
Absolutely. That's going to hurt. That'll hurt. I don't think it hurts. I think it helps the other sports. I think it helps. So I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be a zero-sum game because there are baseball only collectors, and a lot of them will get so ticked off that they might quit the hobby altogether. So that's a net loss to the overall hobby. But I think that a lot of people who love to collect will go to their favorite football team, basketball, soccer, hockey team, or maybe they'll join David Chase and move towards music cards. I mean, there's all sorts of other alternatives to the people who are true. And listen, if you're a real collector and you're a real hobbyist, then I mean, why are you quitting just because baseball quit? But I say that tongue in cheek. Sorry, I think Novak, you put your hand up. I think, yeah, go ahead.
So I think it really depends on with the baseball strike topic. I think it depends on how long the strike will be. I just think it's just rich people arguing with rich people, in my estimation, and I think that they're going to figure it out. But I think like a couple of years ago, there was like a little bit of a delay to one of the seasons within like the last 3 or 4 years, if I'm not mistaken. I think there was like a little bit of a delay. It didn't really impact much. I mean, maybe you could check card ladder on some of the guys and stuff like that were like trendy during that time, how their cards did. But I don't think there was a lot of like turmoil in the baseball market because it was just like a short like disagreement, I guess. It really depends on how long it's going to be for, if there is one, in my opinion.
Fair comment. Anyone have anything, any response there? No hands go up. Okay, thank you, David Novak, for that. I'm looking at comments. We got an S ton right now because I don't like to swear on the show, so I say we got an S ton of comments at the moment. So why don't we do that? Let's give the panel a little break. Unless Hoj, Josh, David, anyone? No, you good? You good for now? Okay, let's go through some comments. I've only got 41 of them that I want to get to. So we'll start with High Prop Professor said, as a millennial, I don't think I'm alone in having to make tough choices to sell cards in order to ladder up and pursue bigger grail items. And High Prop Professor just did that with a big Maddox collection. Area 51 said, an old lady once told me you spend the first 60 years of your life trying to accumulate stuff and then spend the rest of your life trying to get rid of it. My plan is to accumulate till I've been saying 75 for years. I'm adding 5 years onto my life. I'm going to try to accumulate for 80 and sell for 10 to 20. Bradley here says all cards could fall to zero if the economy tanks terribly. At which point, does it matter if your money's in cards or traditional investments? No, doesn't really matter where your money was. You may as well have some fun. JG says shouldn't have to touch your 401k to invest in sports cards. That's a fair position to take for anybody. Tony here says that's the worst investment advice I've heard in a long time. If you get let go from a job, you owe the loan on a 401k back immediately. This is reckless to advocate for. Stop it. I think he's talking to you there. Yeah, Novak, I think he's talking to you there. You've kind of responded to this. Do you want to go again, though?
I'll take 15 seconds on this one. I know you're trying to move through the comments.
Thank you.
No problem. So it's all about how confident you are in betting on yourself as a person. You have to be there mentally and believe in yourself, be a marketable, be coachable, be able to work and be able to go in different settings and be able to excel. So I just feel you just have to believe in yourself and know that there's always plan B, C, all the way through Z. You just got to be prepared in life.
Well said. Tony here says $50 a week times 50 weeks is $2,500. So be ready to pay it back immediately. Hope your cards are liquid. I don't know, but the cards you've shown are very liquid, Novak. So you're good in the event you need them. But I think by the sounds of it, financially, you are secure such that you will not need to sell your sports cards. High Pop Professor here says, I took out a loan to purchase a Maddox collection back in February, but I generally wouldn't recommend that course of action for others. Now, I've happened to watch Brian, the High Pop Professor's videos on that, and the loan wasn't, from what I gathered, it wasn't that much money. It was significant. It was 5 figures, but it wasn't like bankruptcy type of money. And he's paid it back already. But he also bought say 50 cards, say he bought 20 cards. He sold 15 of them to pay off the loan and kept 5. So it really depends what your plan is. And I think Brian, the High Pop Professor, went about it in an ultra responsible way. Mickey Mintle says, treat it like a hobby until you're on track financially. I think that's really good advice right there, Mickey Mintle. I think that really distills it down to one nice, simple sentence. Let's get nods from the panel. Am I right? Is this a really good way to look at it, guys? We're getting agreements. Okay. Jeremy from California has Lazy Shaka, the best advice of the night. Jim Sholey says, Jay Lee dislikes the SGC Tux, but he's still our friend. I'm glad because I do dislike it. Tony here says, I think if you want investing advice for cards, the only person to ask is Jeff Wilson. Skeppy said, if you have a smart wife, just ask her if you can use or borrow retirement money. If she says no, then you know, but you might just punch you in the throat. So be ready. Tim here says, who needs a 401k? We got sports cards. What up, Tim? Desert Shield Sniper says, at the end, it's all about discipline. I don't smoke. I don't drive fancy cars or have nice watches, but I have a $13,000 Mickey and a couple of other cards that people will think I'm crazy for buying. I want to just say one thing about that comment, which is that I love the comment from Desert Shield Sniper here, because that's like me. You know, I don't drive a nice car. My car is 13 years old. And I was saying to someone just the other day, I'm going to drive it into the ground just like the sneakers I was wearing when I was talking to this person the other day. Like, I would rather put money into cardboard than into a car. So really comes down to priorities as well, right? Where are you spending your discretionary money or non-discretionary? Brad Helston says cards might be a solid return now, but will it last? Chris C says, what you did with the Joe Jackson was smart. You used cards you already had to acquire a grail. Many would have taken out loans. I'm happy with my move. Desert Shield Sniper says, why can't a collector treat cards as a hobby and an investment? Which I think they can, and I do. He goes on to say, people buy and live in homes and make money from it as well. I think the problem is what we see at card shows where people are ripping TCG. Vintage Collector says, the hidden advantage of collectibles over traditional investments, people don't pay taxes. Some people don't, but many do. Brad Helson says, guys, I went to a card show today and the majority of collectors and dealers were younger than me and I'm 52. Younger people have a greater income for sports cards. I think he means a greater appetite for sports cards. James here says, I collect like you, Jeremy, but on a way lower level. Okay, great, fine. But hey, I like the way you collect. Rock Latex says, if you're maxed out on credit cards, just get another credit card. He's being facetious. Carl from Oz says, I've been risk averse for 70 years. I'm not now. I think I'm buying reasonably, sensibly. And when I'm gone, my kids will do okay. All right, that's good. Good approach. High Pop Professor here says, the bigger cards you buy, the more investment minded one should be towards those purchases. Bingo. Like, that makes perfect sense. But the bigger the cards are is a relative term. For me, spending $1,000 on a card is big money. For a lawyer like Josh Adams, you know, it's nothing. It's like he doesn't care till he spends 25 grand on a card. Desert Shield Sniper asked, Jeremy, are you collecting Shohei? I have one Shohei card. Vintage Oddball says, collect my man Celebrini. Can't do it. Can't do it, Vintage Oddball. I think he's a great player, but too early for me to invest in Celebrini. And he's not my team, so I won't collect him. JT says, hi, Jeremy, sophisticated stranger here. Hey, look at that. Welcome to the chat, JT, City Life Artist. Glad to see you. Bridgeforth says, just by Tom Brady. He says, what about Messi? Two different look at that. Two different Bridgeforths back to back. We have J.A. Bridgeforth followed by Alex Bridgeforth. Yeah, I think Brady and Messi are both great players to be thinking of as collecting and investing in. But hey, no, not investment advice, just my thoughts. Mookie says, I get pooped before Hoj and Josh come on, need better load management. Mike Double V says, sports cards will provide some diversification against typical 401ks and RRSPs, which I think a lot of people are moving towards nowadays, for better or for worse, and for whether or not the chat here approves or not. Vintage Oddball says, you didn't have to be a rocket scientist 5 to 10 years ago to collect Babe Ruth cards. Probably never had to be a rocket scientist to collect Babe Ruth. Or Michael Jordan, for that matter. Like, how many of us missed the boat on some of these players back when we could have had them for literally pennies on the dollar, like 2% on the dollar? Jeff, okay, we're almost done here, guys. Jeff Will says, I hate when people say bubble because they're just using their gut as research. Tell me something tangible, why we're in a bubble. Well, I would push it back to you, Jeff Will, and say, tell us something tangible why we aren't in a bubble. Fact of the matter is we're always in a bubble. Is the bubble shrinking or is the bubble contracting? We are always in a bubble. And in a way, it's just like, it's like the innings conversation. There are no innings. It's not one game. I think I heard the crossover talk recently about Are we like into inning 1 of game 2 now? Like it's just it's a continuous set of innings, guys. Just like baseball, they've been playing baseball since the late 1800s. They're still playing. What inning are they in? What inning is baseball in? There's no innings. Go ahead, David Novak.
I got one comment to make about that. I think it's like people want to know like franchise mode, like when you go to play Madden, like what inning. It's just like it just never ends. It's just my opinion on that.
Yeah, fair comment. DPZ Dennis Ender says 07 and 08 Topps Chrome football refractors are a terrific value and way to collect some great players without breaking the bank. There's a nice comment, some advice on how to collect players that aren't breaking the bank. David Chase, do you need to roll on us? Okay, just
I have to roll. Good. Nice meeting you. Bye, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
Nice
Thanks
meeting
for
you,
being
sir.
here. All right, let him go. He's on vacation. Curmudgeon says, I thought David said he has 5 cards. This is you, Novak. Now all the talk about late 90s cards. So does he have an extensive PC or just 5 cards?
So right now I do have 5 cards. I've consolidated like everything on my IG page. I've consolidated into these cards just over time, just trading up, doing trades within myself where I just add like take card capital, add money from work, and then just try to like level up on my own and stuff.
Good stuff. Thank you for answering the question. Rock Latex says, quiet, Joshua, you're ruining the hunt, which is my new exclusive content on the Fanatics app, which is part of, I haven't told you about that yet. You haven't heard about it. Josh also didn't know that SGC was purchased by collectors until just a couple weeks ago. But the hunt is a show I'm doing exclusively on the Fanatics platform, Josh. So what Rock Latex is saying is, hey, Josh Adams is coming on to Sports Cards Live, which is a sponsor, if you will, who has Fanatics as a sponsor, and you're coming on and talking negatively about Michael. By the way, you're allowed to come on to Sports Cards Live and share your opinions about Michael Rubin. My involvement doing content with him has nothing to do with what is said here about opinions about how he's handling the business over there. We have free speech over here, regardless of the logos you see up there on the marquee, which we'll change back to the other one shortly here. Okay, that was that comment. Skeppy says, Josh Adams, Jeff Bezos has been terrible for my wallet, and I still use Amazon. I don't know, just a fun, I think it's tongue-in-cheek. Yeah, tongue-in-cheek. Situational Adventure says, I have grown to enjoy Josh and his yang to the other's yin. All the regulars make this show great. I got to take that as a heavy compliment because I am very proud of the lineup we have here of regulars, and I thank them regularly for making the show what it is. So thank you to all the regulars we have here on SCL. Skeppy says the people chirping about the hobby being too expensive also bash $2, $5, and $10 cards. Doesn't quite make sense. Yeah, Skeppy, I can't disagree with that comment. I think that people do that. And that's just the nature of the internet. That's just how the internet rolls. Dan Brown says, like it or not, Fanatics gives the market more confidence. Mookie says, we all know David Chase is largely responsible for the runaway hobby growth. Too bad he's gone for the comment. DPZ says, this is a good one. Taking stock with Jeremy Lee and DPZ, the hobby show during the dip of the hobby. Yeah, we did a show for about 12 episodes or so, and then we stopped. But now you can find DPZ on a weekly show. I believe it's weekly with Dustin over on Sports Card Dad. Stephen Lane says, a strike will not affect vintage. It will affect active players because the value of their cards is dependent upon performance. There's no performance in a strike. Well said, Stephen Lane. And I think to Josh's question earlier about what happens if there's a strike, I think the vintage collectors continue on, no problem. It's the modern collectors who are going to have more of an issue with it. Welcome, everyone. Please welcome Mike Petty to the chat tonight. Mike Petty has entered the chat. Skeppy here says, I have a question for Chris tonight. Define the term big card. What does that mean to you? And describe how that might mean many different things. All right, we'll stop there. We will allow Chris, if you don't mind, to take Skeppy's question.
Yeah, fun question from Skeppy. And, personally, I try to avoid using language like that. I'm not perfect at it. You can, like, one of my hobby agendas is to challenge us as collectors to like avoid using words like best and big and instead say what we mean more precisely. Like, if I say a card is the best card, what do I mean by that? Do I mean that it has the highest public sale and record of any of the cards in the category that I'm saying it's the best of? Or does it mean that it's the rarest? Or does it mean that it's the earliest? Or it's the first? Or does it mean that it comes from a brand that I like a lot? And I would apply the same thing to biggest. What is the biggest card? Is it and to who? From whose perspective? Like a card that's really big to me might be small, tiny to somebody else. So it's like, it's biggest what? Like, what is biggest modifying? What is big modifying? Is it the biggest value card? Is it the biggest historically significant card? And how do you assess historical significance? Speaking of precisionists, Jeremy, when it comes to language, I want to be a precisionist.
Okay. You can be a precisionist, Chris. And I would say you know what? You have precisionist tendencies in you. You are, just think of the word itself. You are very precise about every card you buy. You take a lot of time and care, and you probably approach the acquisition of a sports card in more detail than a fund manager approaches a new potential equity to add to their portfolio, right? Like, I think so. Yeah, you're a precisionist, Chris, but it may not be your dominant archetype, but you definitely have precisionist running through your blood.
Yeah, I think so. What do you guys think? What is to Skeppy's question? What's a big card to you?
It's got to be go ahead, Josh.
I mean, when people use these terms, I agree with Chris on this. Saying best, when people say best, they mean most expensive. That's all they mean. Because if you press them, they say, look what we're in for. Because, there are some people that don't have any critical thinking and just say the price is a scoreboard. And they don't think anything past that. So the other example, when you say biggest, also means the most expensive. The same people will say that. Biggest just means most expensive to them. For me, that's what it means. Big. For me, a big card is probably a card at a certain dollar value where it's like it's a lot of money. That's what I think.
I do too. I think when we use the term biggest, it comes down to price. It comes down to value, what you have to pay to get it, what it sold for most recently. But that term is relative to every person. Just like we all have different marginal income tax rates, because very few people make the exact same amount of money, although sure they do. It's a numbers game. But point being, for me, a big card is going to be different than what a big card is for somebody who just graduated from college and has, $50K in student loans. Whatever. Everyone who's in a different financial position has should have a different definition of what a big card is. So for me, a big card is basically $1 million. To me, that's a big card. I'm just kidding. I will say, for me, a big card is probably $5,000. Anything below $5,000, and even like below $5,000, like even $2,500, even $1,000 is significant. But when I think of a big card, like, oh, that's a big one. That's well into my threshold for significance. That's a big card. So for me right now, significant money on a card is like $500. That's where I start to think about the family implications. $500 is significant to me. A big card, I'm like, okay, $5,000. I'm gonna do Chris Hoge level of due diligence on that card before I pull the trigger in most cases. So, but it's relative, right? How about you, David Novak?
Oh, that's great. I really enjoy all those responses. In addition, I would say it all has to do with tenure in the hobby, like how long you've been in the hobby. And to me, best card should be a top card in the catalog, like a top, let's call it 10% of that said player's catalog. That would be one of the best cards in my opinion. And I think biggest card should be based a big card should be based upon your paycheck. Like I would say like a percentage, whether that's 25% of a paycheck or 50% of a paycheck. And that's going to be different for everybody. And also I think a big card is considered to be a big card based upon what you already have in your collection. Like if you get like, let's just say $1,000 card, but all your other cards are, let's just say 10K and up, for example, just for the sake of argument, that one card, even though it's a great card, it might not fit with the other ones, but it could be a significant card to somebody else. But I think it also has to come down to hobby tenure, like where your collection is, where your knowledge is, your skill. Because I think the hobby, you don't need a lot of money to achieve great things in the hobby. I think you can get a lot of good cards with skill and in addition some money as well. But I just think the skill, the knowledge, and the understanding of what you're buying has a lot to do with what a card is in terms of like the size, like if it's a big card or not.
I'm really glad, David, that you brought it back away from just looking at dollars and actually quantified like the percentage of a player's catalog that would be big. You said 10. I think it'll be different. I think that's actually too high of a number. Most players have so many lower end cards. I think it's probably a lower number, but whatever, you just off the top of your head. I'm glad you brought it back to that and just didn't resort to price, because now obviously there's a very strong correlation between price and top of the mountain there. So, but a good angle to take there. Just a couple more comments, and thank you for the question from Skeppy on that one. Alex, one of the bridge four says, I'm a nostalgic. My brother J.A. is a builder. Good to know. Well, love having the family in the chat. Curmudgeon here says, old money is stable and consistent, not sexy to most, and most can't do it. Old shoes, old cars, old house, old wife. Smart approach. Okay. BW says, Josh lights $80 cigars with $500 cards. See, I'm so glad that the chat is really getting to know Josh Adams through his appearances here on Sports Cards Live every week for the past several months. Collector for Life says, boo fanatics. And Rock Latex says, if you're collecting like Jay Lee and not buying players like Celebrini, you're still participating in the modern players by deciding not to buy them. I disagree. I disagree with this. I disagree with this example, Rock Latex, simply because I'm not buying collectors like Celebrini. Well, listen, it's a weird comment actually from Rock Latex here, because I'm also not participating in the, I don't know what other markets aren't I participating in? I don't know, weapons. I don't participate in that weapons. I'm just saying I don't participate in many markets. So am I having an impact? Maybe by adding less demand on some marketplace that I have nothing to do with or any interest in, I'm having an impact on it. But am I really having an impact? Let me put it to you this way. A player like Celebrini, whose cards are literally selling for 6-7 times what I think they should be, I'm not even a player. Like my bid, I would be so low of an underbidder that I could participate and have the same impact I'm having right now by not participating in those. So I don't know. I don't Rock Latex. I don't really understand the comment, I guess, which is fair. I don't have to understand all of them. That's for sure. All right. Lots more here. Appreciate everybody. I appreciate each and every one of you in the chat tonight. All of you, everybody in the chat. It's been really amazing tonight. Some really good feedback and a lot of great validation as well for what we do here on Sports Cards Live. So I do greatly appreciate it. All right, Novak. I know I said to Chris and Josh, I go, guys, bring a topic tonight. We even had one in mind, but Novak's topics are really carrying the day here tonight, and we still have others, David, which we will have to get to next time you come on the show, because I do want to see if Josh and or Chris have any topic that they really want to go to, and if it's that one where those 2 slides, we can go there. But if there's anything else, Chris or Josh, you want to talk about before that, because that's going to take us through the next chunk of the show if we go there. So, Josh, you're nodding. What are you thinking? You're on mute.
Go with your idea.
Which was?
The slide thing.
Yeah, you want to do that one? You like that one?
Chris has something. I have nothing else.
Okay, Chris, what about you?
Yeah, bring on the slides.
Okay, all right. So, Novak, you're welcome to stick around. Absolutely. So I'm just going to set something up, guys, where we're going to bring on a couple of slides. We'll do one at a time here on the screen. So before I bring it up, I believe, Chris, you generated these slides. Can you set the table for the chat? What is this that we're going to be talking about here?
Yeah, totally. So this has a little bit of exposition, but it ties in. So we had to have some work done on our house because of some unexpected flooding. So I got kicked out of my house for about a week and a half. And it was really only supposed to be a week, but got extended longer. And so we went to the Chicago area for a few days while we were out of the house. And while I was there, I took the occasion to visit the Chicago Art Institute. And then when we had to extend our trip, we went up to Milwaukee, and I took the occasion to visit the Milwaukee Art Museum while we were out of town on both trips. And while I was visiting these art museums, I just kept thinking to myself, what can we learn from art collecting? I couldn't help but wonder that as I walked around and I looked at the way pieces of art are presented. I read the placards. I looked at the exhibits. I was asking ChatGPT, how are these items selected, and who are these curators, and what influence do board members have, and once items are put in an exhibit in a museum, how does that impact the demand for them among private collectors, and are the best pieces on display in museums, or are they in private collections? I was just having all these questions, right? Like trying to use our way of approaching things in the sports card hobby to understand art. And then I started thinking, well, if art might have something to teach us, what about the other side of the spectrum? Could stock market investors teach us something too? And then I said, you know what? This kind of reminds me of the hobby spectrum a little bit. Probably a seed was planted in my mind by the hobby spectrum that had me thinking along these lines. But I just thought to myself, as a collector, do I collect more like an art collector? Let me take the word collect out of it. Do I buy cards more like an art collector? Or do I buy cards more like a stock market investor? Or do I do both? Maybe I do all. Maybe I take a little bit from one, a little bit from the other, and so on. So I asked ChatGPT, give me 5 bullet points that really explain how a stock market investor buys assets, and give me 5 bullet points that really explain how an art collector buys art. And then those slides you're going to show are the 5 bullet points from each.
All right. What do you want to start with then, Chris? Art collector or stock market investor?
Well, I think we're primed to start with stocks. I think we're primed, but that's kind of where the conversation is led into, right?
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to share the screen and I'll read it, Chris, and then we'll get your take and go from there. How's that sound? We'll go. And does it make sense, Chris, to go one bullet point at a time?
Yeah, I think that's a great call. I think we can go around the table on each one and see how we each feel about it.
All right, Novak, you ready for this?
Yes, sir.
Adams. All right, here we go. Chat. All right, here we go, guys. This slide that I'm now showing on the screen has 5 bullet points on it. The title is Buying Like a Stock Market Investor. The preamble states, a stock market investor tends to buy with a future price thesis. The object itself matters mainly because of what it represents economically. Point number 1, expected return is central. The main question is, what will this be worth later? The buyer is thinking about upside, downside comps, timing, liquidity, and opportunity cost. Okay. Okay, go ahead, Chris. Yes.
Yeah. So I would preface this for audience members, commenters in the chat. If this sounds like it's not you, just wait, because there's this whole art collector side coming too that might resonate with you a lot more. So don't jump the gun here and just think that this is a yes or no binary, black or white. Okay. Now with that said, right. So this side, the first bullet point here, the main question is, what will this be worth later? We know Josh Adams is not interested in this question, and a lot of people collect that way. They're not only are they not interested in what is worth later, they're not even interested in what is worth now. And then there's other people who are mark to market, Jeremy, like you, who are, and myself too, keeping tabs on and updating value estimates to the extent that we can of things as they move along. So I kind of feel some compatibility with this question. I definitely am thinking about what it's worth now, and then when it later finally arrives, I will be thinking about what it's worth then too. But I don't think it's central. I think the word central is where I sort of diverge here. Like it's not central. It is something I think about, but for me, it's not central.
It's not driving force, I would say, for me, Chris. It's the value, what a card will be worth later. Again, once I hit that significant or big card purchase, I do think about what it's going to be worth when I eventually sell it, when I'm 80 to 90 years old, or maybe let's just say 75 to 100, hopefully, years old. But it's not central to the decision. The card itself drives the decision. The price is obviously a factor. I do care about what it's going to be worth at the end of the day. But I often don't think, the latter part of the question says the buyer's thinking about upside, downside. Okay, yes and yes. Comps, sometimes, not all the time. Timing, sort of, but not really. I'll buy anywhere that we are in a marketplace. Liquidity and opportunity cost. I don't really think about liquidity or opportunity cost because liquidity wise, my horizon is too long. It's in decades, not in days, weeks, months, or even years. And opportunity cost, it's just like once I decide I'm buying the card, that is my priority at that time. And I'm not worried about what else I can do with the money. Novak, Josh Adams, any comments on expected return is central to the way you approach the hobby in the way this applies to stock market? Novak.
I'll take a swing at it. So yeah, I mean, like when I personally buy cards, like I do, like if I'm spending significant money for myself and my family, like I have to worry about down the road type of thing. Like it's not going to be down the short road; it'll be down the longer road, long term. So I'm very similar, like how Josh is. He's not worried too much about the day to day. But yeah, like you definitely want to get something that you just kind of like go on cruise control in life. Like you just live your life, you do your daily things, and you're not really worried too much about the day to day stuff with the cards and stuff. That's just generally how I go about certain things for my long-term cards. I just feel that, you know, when you spend significant money, you just want to make sure you're not gambling at that point. You want to make sure you know what you're buying, make sure the cards are real. Because there's a lot of fake cards with 90s cards, vintage cards, even like there's fake downtown. So you really want to make sure you're educated and prepared.
Well said. Josh Adams, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Chris is spot on. This doesn't apply to me.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
mean,
good.
I buy stocks like this, exactly how I buy and trade stocks. So I'm doing something right. But for cards, once I buy a card, it's whatever. I bought it, so who cares what the price is?
Yeah, fair. No, it's not, especially if you're buying cards for, thousands, tens of thousands, even more. To be in that position is you're winning in life if you can say that. But I'm not saying Josh is buying cards at those levels, but if you are and that's your approach, you are winning in life. And Josh is a winner in my mind. And I mean that the nice winner, not when you call, oh, what a winner. Not that. You're the good winner, Josh. All right. Number 2. I'll read number 2 out, Chris. It says, the asset is somewhat interchangeable. One share of Apple is functionally the same as another share of Apple. The buyer usually does not care about the specific copy they own, only the exposure to the investment. I love this one because it so does not apply to sports cards or to me. This whole concept of interchangeable, the hobby became sort of aware of what that really was in the realm of investing in sports cards from the NFT bubble that popped and has disappeared on us now, because NFT stands for non-fungible tokens. These things were non-fungible, meaning they were not all the same. Sports cards are, I believe, am I getting that, Hoj, am I getting that backwards or am I getting that right? Non-fungible means they're not all the same. Fungible means they're all the same.
Right. Yeah. Fungible means you can just switch one for another one. Same thing.
Stocks are fungible. Sports cards, some are. Commodity cards, for the most part, are fungible. Throw them in a slab, they become almost completely fungible, especially modern at the high end of the grading scale, because, I mean, let's face it, people don't care if their PSA 10 is any different than any other PSA 10 for the most part. So I think this one completely does not apply to the way I approach the hobby. Sports cards, I mean, what about you, David Novak?
You actually got the point that I was going to say at the end. It kind of like refers to like the liquidity cards, like the Prism Silvers, the Tops, the Flagship, the Charts and Ladders kind of cards that go up and they're measurable and stuff. That's what that bullet point means to me personally, and you kind of nailed it. So that's all. Appreciate
that. Hoj?
Yeah, this bullet point was so amusing to me too, because I was like, man, this is such an interesting lens to like just use fungibility as an interpretive lens for the hobby. Because I think if you would have checked 5 or 6 years ago, we were much more willing to think of cards as fungible. And I think if you look at the evolution of the last 5 to 6 years, we've become more and more picky and precise. I think the eye appeal is an outright rejection of fungibility, and it is an outright embrace of using distinction and condition. And sometimes the distinction can be small, sometimes the distinction and eye appeal can be huge, but finding nuance and finding more and more nuance as time goes on, I think is really fundamental to the way a lot of us collect these days.
Cards are survivors. You know, the older the card, the longer they've survived. Even modern day cards need to survive the manufacturing process, the pack out process, the breaker, releasing them from the pack process. There's a lot that goes into it. And for them to survive, never mind the ones that are autographed and the ones that have memorabilia in them, that they have to survive being damaged. They have 8 corners instead of 4. Players are signing them; they're being damaged in or out. I mean, there's a lot of, so they're not all the same. They just aren't. And I think what you said is right. Josh Adams, anything from you on this topic?
No, I agree. I don't collect like fungible cards. So yeah, I agree with Chris.
All right, let's go to the next bullet, which said number 3, value is benchmarked and comparative. Then it says, the buyer asks, is this better than the alternatives? Why this player instead of another? Why this card instead of cash, stocks, crypto, real estate, or another card? This one, to me, Chris, is very similar to the end of number 1, which talks about opportunity cost. It's basically asking, what else could I be buying with the investment? And an investor is saying, should I buy Nvidia, or should I buy Shopify, or should I buy Apple, or SpaceX, like that kind of thing. I think for the hobby though, people do go through this. I'm going to go to the National this summer, and I'm going to have my budget. I'm going to have my PayPal with what I got in it, and that's my budget. And I'm going to have to make hard decisions. The decisions are harder earlier on, because the earlier on in the show, you have to make your decisions are made with less information. That information that you're lacking is the cards you're going to see later that day and on subsequent days that you might wish you had that money back for that you spent on day 1. But you got to balance, at least I want to balance that against when I see a card I want to get it. I don't want to go back and it's not there anymore because I couldn't find anything else. So a bit of a different phenomenon there. But other than that, I'm not sensing much more new in this one. Chris, are you?
Yeah, you nailed it. This is opportunity cost just fleshed out. And I love what David Novak said much earlier in the show. He sort of said, he likes to go through a process of like, if I have 50 cards, I'll lay them all out on a table, and I'll constantly be questioning and asking myself, if I sold this little section of 10, this tier of 10 cards, would I enjoy a different card more than these 10 cards? Or I could, then you can consolidate up, or you can deconsolidate, and you could say, would I enjoy 50 cards more than these 10? So I do think opportunity cost is present. I think about opportunity cost a lot. Now I'm slow to move. Like, the opportunity cost has to be like really slapping me in the face for me to like want to break up a part of my collection and move into something else. But I've done it. I've done it plenty of times too.
Yeah. It's I went through when I acquired the Joe Jackson, I had to make very difficult decisions to the point where I was almost at wit's end. It's like, I don't know if I can do this because there's no more cards I want to give up, which put my collection in a post Joe Jackson maneuver state of being like, this is I have my ultimate collection. There's nothing I would sell to acquire anything I don't already have. It's kind of where my collection is right now. Now, I can trim fat here and there. There's some of those cards are turning from, muscle into fat over time as my opinion and my tastes do change and evolve. But that said, going through a massive, and I say massive consolidation because I disposed of, or I gave up 330 cards for one, but those 330 cards, once they were gone, still left me with about 15 or 1600 cards in my collection. So it wasn't like I gave up the majority of my collection. So that was a very, very worthwhile exercise. And I think if anyone is set up like I am that way, and you're looking at doing something, that's a way that you can kind of exercise this bullet point number 3 without giving up what you really love, or a lot of it anyway. So, okay. Did we get everyone for item number 3 there? Did everyone get a thought? Okay. Novak. Okay. Number 4 says emotion. Oh, by the way, Joe, I see you back there. Let's wait till the next slide to bring Joe on because this is taking a while already. Number 4 says emotion is ideally controlled. Attachment is often treated as weakness. The ideal investor is disciplined, unemotional, willing to sell when the thesis changes. Oh, this is juicy, Chris. This is juicy.
This is a great one. I mean, this is the one where I think a lot of collectors are going to be like, no way. The whole reason I do this is because I love it, because it's fun, because it evokes emotion. And emotion even doesn't need to be antithetical to an investment mentality either. Investment can be driven by, hey, if this stirs strong emotions in me, it's probably stirring strong emotions in other now and in the future. And so there's reason to think there will be a market.
You're in and out super quick there. David Novak, what did you want to say?
I just want to say, through my view, collectors pay a lot for cards. They pay more than some investors, because sometimes the investors will not want to pay more for a card because they want to look at the data, of where the collector just wants the actual card itself. So I think if there's that nostalgic and emotional connection with that card, I think in many cases, not all cases, individuals like collectors will pay more for a specific card if it's one that's on that list where they really can't get it, or they have to wait years potentially to get it, in my opinion.
I hear you. And for this number 4 here, where it says attachment is often treated as weakness, and that's the opening sentence. I think in the hobby, the collector base out there, especially the left side of the spectrum, people look at it in the opposite. Attachment is treated as a strength. Attachment is treated as a strong character trait of a collector. It is viewed as a strong, worthy trait that a collector can have as part of their collecting character. And there's questions in the hobby spectrum assessment that talk about attachment to cards. And if you find that you are there, you're going to fall more towards the purist extreme than the tycoon extreme. That just makes really good sense. Josh Adams, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I agree. I've paid more for cards just to stop looking for them, right? Like, here's a card I've been looking for a while. I'll buy it. I don't care because I want it. And then I'm done looking for it. My time's worth it. Yeah.
All right. Final bullet point on this first of 2 slides reads, the heading is liquidity matters. It says a good investment is something that can be priced, sold, and converted back into money reasonably efficiently. And the funny thing about that one is that there are so many companies in the hobby that are trying to force the hobby into being a more efficiently run market. And it's really not, they're trying to increase liquidity. They're trying to reduce friction between getting a card and selling it. We hear about, whether it's, I think even like whichever platform it is, whether it's Fanatics or PSA, where you can buy a card, send it in, get it graded, list it for sale, all without touching the card. I mean, there are companies trying to facilitate that to make it more like an investment, because cards are worth money. Collectors, like it or not, cards are worth money. So, but again, to say that a good investment is something that can be priced, sold, converted back into money reasonably efficiently, I think that does apply to sports cards, in that if it's going to be a good investment, it can be priced. Yes, we have pricing tools like Card Ladder. We've had them as long as we've had Beckett price guides. They can be sold, yes, easy, converted back into money relatively efficiently. Yes and no in the hobby. You can do it. So sports cards, in a way, do fall in, and liquidity does matter. We hear about liquidity all the time in the hobby. So this one, I think, applies, but not for everybody. Chris Hoge, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think there are some cards and there are some purchases of cards that are made with the thought that, oh, if I need to throw this on eBay and get the market value out of it, I could do that within a 24-hour period. I remember I haven't owned a 1986 Fleer Michael Jordan card in, I don't know, 6, 7, or 8 years, but I used to have a few. And anytime I would get one, and we're talking like the era of 2017, 18, 19. Anytime I would get one, it was just remarkable how, if I wanted to get the market value out of it, I could throw it up on eBay and I would have the offers flying in at market value within a few minutes, if not hours, of listing that card on eBay. So there are types of cards that have that liquidity, and then there is a whole approach to the hobby that sort of banks on arbitraging, finding cards that have a high liquidity, but finding them when they sell low, and then getting market value or a slight premium over market value and just repeating that 20% edge over and over again. So I think there is certainly a tier of this hobby that this applies to, but there's also a tier of this hobby this absolutely does not apply to. There are lots of cards that need selling on a proper platform, that need to be sold with, marketing and with a sitting at an auction for 20 or 30 days so that enough people get to see them and stuff. And that if you threw it on eBay, you might not even get any offers. But if you put it into an auction setting at the right season of the year or at the right time, with exposure in front of the right buyers, then you should be able to realize what the market value is or close to it. So liquidity varies a lot depending upon the card, depending upon how it needs to be presented and so forth. So like you said, Jeremy, I think it depends.
Yeah, I definitely do. Novak, how about you? Your thoughts on, I changed slides for you. Your thoughts on liquidity matters. A good investment is something that can be price sold and converted back into money efficiently. I'll put it back on the screen.
I do feel that it matters to a certain extent, not for me personally, but I do feel like that it matters because, like, for instance, like with Card Ladder, like there's player indexes that have certain cards that are liquid, like the 89 score Aikman or the 89 score Barry Sanders. Those are the liquidity cards, but those are identifiers that you can use to kind of like understand a small part of the story of that player's market, where they're trending. Like the liquidity cards, what direction they move can also correlate with how that player's market is in value, of course. So
appreciate. Yep. Josh Adams, your thoughts before we wrap up the first slide.
I mean, are you asking whether this applies to me or what do I think of this idea?
Whichever approach you'd like to take, whatever you think is going to be most interesting to everybody.
Well, I mean, the last part, I never think about that when I buy something, because if I buy it, I'm going to hold it. I don't think about selling it. But I think for most normal people, they think about that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. Okay. All right. So we will now go to the second part of this conversation. That was all about the slide that read buying cards like a stock market investor. Now we're going to go to buying cards like an art collector. We're going to bring Joe Perot back. Joe, you good? All right. Joe is back. Welcome back. Say hi to the fellas that you haven't seen yet tonight.
Hey, everybody.
Okay. Nice and quick. Love it. It's not like we don't know each other here. So, okay. So in the interest of time, although who cares really at this point, we're probably going for another 40 minutes here. So we can go and just go around the table, everybody on these ones. And if you don't have anything to say, you can just say, no, I'm good. That's fair too. But as we did with the first slide, let's go on to the second slide now. Buying like an art collector. The preamble states an art collector tends to buy with a meaning thesis versus a future price thesis. The object matters because of what it is, what it says, how it feels, and where it fits culturally or personally. Again, this is the buying cards like an art collector. So far, this resonates with me. Number one reads, personal significance is central. The main question is, why do I want to live with this? The buyer is drawn to beauty, symbolism, memory, taste, identity, obsession, and cultural meaning. So, Hoj, as this is your slide, I'm just going to say to you, I read this number one, and it resonates with me pretty much from top to bottom. Between these various ideas of beauty, symbolism, memory, taste, identity, obsession, and cultural meaning, I would say that they're not all equal to me. They exist on a spectrum as to how much they are important to me, one to the next, but they all play. They all come into play for me, Hoj. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. This is more than anything we read on the previous slide. On this slide, this one just feels like it is strongly describing a huge part of the motivation for why I collect. And I find it interesting that the art language is, why do I want to live with this? Like, they describe it as a thing that they're living with. And like that immediately paints a picture in your mind. Like, you could picture somebody living with a painting on their wall, and they live with it. It's there with them constantly, or they live with a sculpture that's located in their room or something. So I was tickled by the live with phrase, and I found that it was I don't know if we as collectors really think about it as like living with our cards. I don't quite know that we think about it like that. I don't know if that would be the turn of phrase that we would use, but by and large, the personal significance being central, that totally resonates with me as a collector also.
Before we go around the horn, I just want to say that I consider myself to live with my cards. Now, I don't have them all, some live safely elsewhere, but I do live amongst many of my cards, and that's the way I want it. I want to be able to look at them whenever I want and enjoy them. And some of them are on display behind me, but yeah. Okay, let's go. Who's got something to add to bullet point number 1? Let's just see a show. Okay, David Novak, please.
To me, like, the live with part means long term, not worrying about as much about the value. And live with means, to me, identity, like you identify with, because if you live with something, you're identifying with, like you choose to keep it as a personal belonging. You choose to keep that instead of other things. That's how I look at that bullet point.
Again, you've taken one of these points and brought a different spin that I hadn't thought of, talking about the horizon, the length of time that you're going to live with something. I love it. Makes that resonate with me. Josh or Joe, anything to say on this one? We're good. Okay, let's go to number 2. Number 2 reads.
I had something.
Oh, put up. Sorry, I didn't see your hand. Just go higher now. Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, just the part about identity resonates with me. I think certain card holdings and impulses to acquire cards concretize something about my own internal world, and that feels significant.
Isn't it kind of nice, Joe, that like every time you buy a card, and I know that you love buying cards and you put thought in, Joe puts a lot of thought into buying, sometimes not as much as others. Sometimes he buys impulsively, but he often buys with a method. But Joe puts as much thought into the post-purchase as he does the pre-purchase a lot of the time, truly living with the card and the decision. And so I think it's interesting. But my real point there, Joe, is that, yeah, I agree, man. Like, you buy a card, it comes into your collection, and you think about it for a while. You think about how it's changed the complexity of your collection, just how it's added to it. It's like, it's kind of, I don't know, just the analogy is coming to my mind is, you take a bowl of water and you put in a drop of red food coloring, and that's your collection. Then you add a drop of blue food coloring. That adds a new dimension to your collection. Then you add a drop of green. Your collection changes in. With every drop you put in, the overall complexity of your collection changes. And to me, that's curation. That is being a builder. That is really building something that reflects your hobby identity. That becomes your hobby identity. So that's where my mind went there.
Just one word I'd use: self-expression.
Yes. It's yes. I agree. Yeah. Okay. David agrees. Josh is on mute. You're good, Josh? Okay. The next one is, where were we? That was the specific. Where were we, guys? Was that 1 or 2?
We're on number 2.
We're moving to 2 now. That's a lot of number 1. Okay, number 2. The specific object matters intensely. It reads, unlike a stock, the exact. Did we not do this? No. Okay, sorry. Number 2, the specific object matters intensely. Unlike a stock, the exact piece is the point. Condition, provenance, image, design, uniqueness, story, and aura all matter. Could not be truer. Could not be a truer statement when it comes to the way I collect. I'm not going to talk about everybody, but could not be truer for how I like to collect. Anyone? Chris, you want to just sort of state your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I don't have anything to add. I think it's descriptive to a T. I'd be interested if somebody pushed back on this and said, I really don't like that. I actually disagree with collecting the specific item, and I am looking for something more commoditized or more generic. I'd be interested to hear that point of view, but I'm in the other side. I agree completely. This is how
you're not going to find it on this panel right now, I don't think, Chris. Unfortunately, now not that someone couldn't take that point just for the discussion. I certainly can't. I can't get my head around the opposite side of this. Even to the point where even a card that you wouldn't expect me to like, I have like my Jackie Robinson 48 Leaf rookie card. Like, that card is not the prettiest of all Jackies from a centering perspective, but I've fallen in love with it to the point where that exact piece is the point. So it's kind of funny how the exact piece can actually move, along the overall assortment of available pieces of that card. It can change over time which one is meaningful to you. Joe, where do you fall on this one? I feel like you might have something good here.
Well, I'm of two minds. I mean, in the spirit of pushing back a tiny bit, like, once I identified that I needed a 48 leaf Jackie in my collection, I definitely was looking at the ones I wanted and the ones I would not want. And I think there is within, say, the vintage world, some range, I would say. Maybe it's pretty narrow, but there is some range of cards that would be acceptable. And it's the issue itself that I'm going for, the color, the significance. So that's when we start to talk about, you're going to have to take on some element of a flaw with that Jackie card, be it centering, be it unless you're a millionaire. And so in that range or in that spirit, I could say that now once I acquire the card, it does become intensely important, that card, and I fall in love with my card. But before that moment, I am open to sort of the range of ones that would be, as you're fond of saying, Jeremy, welcome into my collection.
Yeah. No, yeah, totally makes sense to me. Novak or Adams, any comments from either of you on this? I think we already heard from Novak. Josh, you good, or you got something?
Yeah, no, just to echo what everyone else says. I agree. I mean, this one, I identify with this a lot more than any of the other ones.
All right. Number 3 reads, value is contextual, not just numerical. The buyer asks, where does this fit into the artist's or player's larger body of work? Is it early? Is it iconic? Is it misunderstood? Historically important? Aesthetically superior? I mean, yes, Chris. This one is collecting for most people. I won't project. Yes for me. How about you?
Yeah, I think so, but it doesn't need to be for everybody. And I think it's for me. I reached a point of really caring about where this fits into the broader universe of cards, later in my collecting journey. I was just more kind of focused on standalone beauty and iconicity, and I was focused on things like that more at the start. But now I've drifted really strongly into caring about how a card relates to the full constellation of cards. So this obviously resonates with me a ton. We're 3 for 3 for me on the art side. I'm definitely so far I'm heavily more of an art collector than a stock buyer. But I wonder how everybody else takes this. If others care as much about contextualness too.
All right, who has David or Josh? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I care about how a card fits in terms of other cards, either that set or that era of cards. Some of the first baseball cards. I love those because they're the first ever made in 1897. Those are awesome. First football cards, or cards of rookies or players I like. So yeah, I think the context matters significantly for me in collecting.
All right, David Novak or Joe, got anything to add? David, go ahead.
I would like to add that I want my I agree with everything on that bullet point, especially. But I want my collection of Troy Aikman cards be the explanation of his card catalog. Just be these. I could tell his story of his card catalog by gaining further cards that go along with these other copies that I have that go with that era and just tell a story of the collection.
Yeah. I mean, I really like this one. It resonates completely with me. Although like sometimes I don't consider the player's full catalog of cards. Sometimes I just hone in on one and that's it, and I'm good. And I don't really like the rest. Like it depends what I'm buying or how much I'm spending on the card in terms of how much I need to know about the player's whole catalog. But I think Chris Hoge gives the good advice on that, which is, before you buy into a player, again, I think Chris, when you say what Chris says is before you buy into a player, understand the menu of cards. But I think that the lower price point you're coming in on, the less important that becomes, because you can just collect and not worry about it. That's totally legitimate as well. Chris, is that like you're nodding? So yeah, but anything else to add to that thought?
Nope, that's great. I agree.
Joe, did you have anything on this one?
Yeah, I just think it deepens the experience. And I think it's a lot of where we are at in terms of kind of being in the vanguard of hobby content. Like that's the content that I'm most interested in, is understanding the context more fully and thus sort of gaining a deeper appreciation for what's out there or what might, already be in your collection if you're lucky enough to have it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We're all in agreement there. So we can go on to number 4. Number 4 reads, emotion is not a flaw. It is part of the thesis. Desire, attachment, taste, and conviction are not necessarily irrational. They may be the very reason the object has meaning. Oh man. I mean, I am a very emotional collector. So yeah, again, I'm this one works for me. And when I say I'm an emotional collector, I'm not crying over cards, guys. But cards do elicit a reaction in me often. Not all of them, but some of them elicit a reaction in me. I mean, I made that deal last night remotely with my vintage mem dealer. And I mean, I was just giddy all night. I was late for dinner because of that. I mean, I got to dinner. I was in the best mood that night. Great mood. Today, I just like cards enhance my life. The hobby enhances my life. My life is so much better because of the hobby that it's like nothing. You can't get me down in the hobby. I love this stuff. I love it. Like the cards are at the foundation of it. And thankfully, the cards brought me the community, the people you see on the panel, the people in the chat. Like it's just the hobby is emotional. Take the emotion out of it. Take the connection to the cards, the players, the sports, any of that. Take the friends and relationships out of it. You got the stock market, which I get no enjoyment from, except watching it go up over time. Chris, by the way, I just want to, you said when you said earlier, I just want to make sure you understand. You said that I mark to market regularly, not my cards, only my traditional investments, because it's all I need is like they're tracked for you by the firm, and then you just have to, but I can't track my card collection value unless I was using a service like Card Ladder. But I have too many cards to put in there that there's no comps on for years and many. So I don't want to know what my collection's worth at any given time. I like not knowing, but just wanted to point that out. So, okay, but back to the topic at hand. Emotion is not a flaw. I think even if it is a flaw, I'm okay with that being a flaw. I'm okay with making hobby mistakes or financial hobby mistakes because I let emotion control my collecting. That's what being a collector is. That's why I'm a precisionist. I'm left of center. I'm towards the collector side, but I have a lot of investor running through me as a hobbyist. So, okay, let's go to Chris first.
Yeah, I love that, Jeremy. I want to just kick it back to you just for a second. I know you just said a ton of things, but we're almost at the end of this exercise here. Stacking up what ChatGPT put forth as the 5 bullet points for the art collector versus the stock investor. Where are you? What percentage? Like, are you like 60? Like, if you have 100 points, like how far are you leaning in one direction?
You're talking hobby spectrum here, Chris.
I know.
Last time I took the hobby spectrum assessment, I scored a 38. I think that describes me. I think I'm 38 I think I'm 38%. I guess it's actually the inverse, right? I guess I am 62% collector and 38% investor. Like,
Got it.
that's, yeah. But you know what? No, that's about right. I'm probably 60-40. Like, I'm certainly more collector than investor because collecting drives me, but investing is a consideration when I start spending, when I hit, like, not only I said $500 earlier, it's probably a little bit less. Like, I will not buy cards for $200 because I don't want them bad enough. So even that gets scrutiny from me at $200. So yeah, but
Yeah, I like it. I think I scored an 18 on Hobby Spectrum, which put me in the nostalgic. And going through this exercise, I think that once again lines up pretty well. About 82% in this art collector direction, but still, like the keeping an eye towards value, both present and future, for me is a thing, and that seems to be part of the stock market approach too. So like I do find the spectrum has been spot on here. So I just, one other point I was going to make was I love what Joe said on the previous thing about deepening the hobby experience or deepening the collecting experience by figuring out where a card does exist in the universe of all cards and figuring out what its significance is. And that isn't an easy thing. That isn't just like, well, how significant is this card? Let me go look at a checklist website. No, it can be a truly creative act to summon all of the facts that you think might matter to the universe of cards and then apply those facts to this specific card and then use those relationships to tell the story of the card. That's a very creative act, and that's where collectors can use their creativity to look at the same checklist, the same hobby history, the same information, the same set structures, and see importance and see things that resonate to them that the next collector might not see. And that person might see it differently. And so like that's sort of what hobby Instagram is to me at its peak, is like a collector really laying out why something matters through context, through like, and not in a way. I love to hear the personal collecting story too about this was a great story. I took a flight. It was amazing. That's inspiring. We all can relate to that. But the other story that the collector can tell is why this card matters as a card in the universe of cards. And so it doesn't matter if they own it or if I own it or if Jeremy owns it or if Joe owns it. That isn't what matters. What matters are the facts of the card itself and how those facts can tell a story. Is it from a first set? Is there something special about the provenance of this particular copy? What are the facts that are intrinsic to that card that make it special? I totally agree with Joe. It deepens the hobby experience, and it meaningfully deepens it for me. When I flip through my shoebox and I land on a card, the thing that makes the card sticky, the thing that gives it the most gravity in my collection is when it has all that meaning layered onto it. It just makes the card feel so much heavier and just fall right back into my box and not be at risk of escaping.
I have a follow-up for you on that, Chris, because and to Joe's comment as well. I think it makes a lot of sense that you're going to buy a card or you own a card, you research it so that you can build that story. You can actually understand it. What about the player as well? Like, you can research the card and its place in the world of cards. But like for me, for example, I wasn't alive to watch all these Hall of Fame baseball players play, but I love collecting vintage baseball and I love the cards and the sets. It's also nice to learn about the player, which I think enhances the overall experience and almost forces you to learn some history. And then by understanding these things, I think that what you're getting at, Chris, I don't know if you said it like overtly, but I think what you're getting at is that, but you just get to know so much about the card that you just grow, you're going to grow to like it even more. You already love the way it looks and you love the player it represents, but maybe you don't know as much about the player. You learn it. Now you know more about the card. You understand where it fits in the relative historical hobby history. That really enhances the whole experience of collecting and being a collector and being in the hobby. It's more than just accumulation. I think is also what we're getting. It's not just accumulation. Which is funny because now I'm going to say it's accumulation of knowledge and of context. So it's really information, being informed, and all that. Who else wants to talk on this one? Okay, David Novak, go ahead.
So it's kind of like a hobby institution in a way to me, and the deepened meaning can be said this way. Can you tell the story about the player and their significance to the organization that they played for? and they're hot. And can you tell the story about the connection to the hobby with that specific player and their relevance? So you just kind of like tie in the player's significance and what they mean to their organization that they played for and the hobby. Like the Green Bay Packers, like when you think about the Green Bay Packers, you think about Bart Starr, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers. You think about the Chicago Bears, you think about George Halas, Walter Payton, many more names as well, and stuff like that. And they have lots of significance. It kind of correlates. So that's how I look at that specific bullet point.
Okay, before Josh Adams loses his mind for you talking about the Green Bay Packers, because he's a big Bears fan. Josh, you okay? Do you need to cool off or what's up?
I'm good. Serenity now. I'm good.
Joe or Josh, anything on Joe?
Joe, just speaking to emotion, which I believe was the bullet point we were on. I think I actually have struggled to be a little less emotional and a little bit more grounded in something pragmatic, just as a general trajectory, because over time, I have noticed that sometimes I'll fritter away, funds that could be deployed in maybe more purposeful ways by getting caught up in the moment, right? And I mean, a flight of fancy, say, a team that I'm not even a fan of wins a Super Bowl and some player has an exceptional performance and I just suddenly smash bin and, find myself years later with a card that doesn't really mean much to me. That's probably not the kind of emotion that the bullet point is expressing, but it is an emotion that I've found myself prey to.
Yeah. Great additional thoughts. I mean, wow, I'm enjoying this conversation, guys. We're getting a nice well-roundedness here. Okay, let's go to the final bullet point on this second slide, which reads, illiquidity can be acceptable. The art collector may not care if the object is hard to sell tomorrow because ownership itself is part of the reward. Okay, this is really interesting because I feel like there's so much excitement by owners of cards when a new comp falls and people see that their card just went up in value. I experienced this just on Thursday night during the premiere auction. While I was experiencing a little, some slight sadness, one might even say depression over the Michael Jordan Jambalaya that I sold for half of its current value. We didn't even get to this card during the show. I didn't find out till the next day, but the Sidney Crosby green PMG had a new comp, which was more than double what I remembered ever sold. At the height, it sold for like 18 grand. I think it was actually the very first time I ever covered any auction on Sports Cards Live was the night that card sold on eBay by PWCC in like 2021, March of 2021 for like 18 grand. I already owned a copy of it at that time. A couple years go by, next one sold, I think for like $7,000 or $8,000. Like, oh, damn, I missed a selling opportunity there, but also not an easy card to get. I probably won't get one back, so I'm happy to still own it. Now, here we are a couple years after that, sold for, I think, over $40,000 on Thursday night. Tell me that gave me a good feeling. I can't pretend it didn't. It gave me a feeling that okay, this card is worth more than I thought it was. When you own a card, you think it's worth maybe $12,000 or $15,000, and it sells for over 41, I think. I mean, that was a good feeling last night. Whether or not I'll sell it for that or probably wait, the next one might sell for 12 grand. You never know. But back to the comment here, because I know I'm kind of on a tangent here. And I guess part of that point is that not all cards sell all the time. And sometimes and often the longer the period of time between sales, the better it is for that card. As soon as a card starts selling all the time, it starts to feel like a lady of the night, as they say. It starts to feel like something that you can just get anytime, and it's not that great sort of thing. So this one's interesting. I'll read it one more time. Illiquidity can be acceptable. The art collector may not care if the object is hard to sell tomorrow because ownership itself is part of the reward. I think a lot of us do strive to own these cards that we want to have. Chris, where do you fall on this one? Oh, you're muted, buddy.
Sorry. Yeah, great points there, Jeremy. I think that there are a lot of wrinkles on this one. There's a lot more to this than meets the eye, because there's sort of an implication, like in the art world, there like if you like go to like an exhibit or a showing of like up and coming new artists, and they have, they price, basically I guess the price is kind of like based on the, the time they put into it and the value of the materials. Like maybe you see like a cool work that you spend $1,500 on, and I think the expectation in that context is like, you're probably never going to be able to get any money out of that, or not anytime soon. That you've bought something for $1,500, you rewarded the artist for their time, you've picked something that should enhance your particular taste, or it should enhance your living experience. Will look nice on your wall. It might be a really nice piece, but there shouldn't really be any expectation that this thing will carry significant value, that it will carry any value over the replacement of some generic piece of wall art that you could pick up from a Target shelf. That should be the absolute peak of sort of the replacement value of what you're buying. And so like when that's the scenario, it's actually saying something more than just liquidity. It's also saying you bought something that nobody else values, or that probably nobody else is going to value. And then that starts getting into taste a little bit, because now it starts calling into question your taste. It sort of starts to ask like, do you have bad taste? Are you off on this island buying things that you like, but that nobody else in their right mind would ever buy? So the illiquidity thing, I think it can get really messy and complicated really fast, and it can start having ramifications and bleeding over into other things that collectors really care about. Like, is this reflecting well on my taste? Is this showing that I choose items that are generally desirable, and so on and so forth? So I think there's a lot wrapped up in that, in this little illiquidity topic. But if we just really take it at its face value, that we say, well, it's illiquid. It might be hard to sell immediately, but if you waited long enough, you could get the market value for it. But there might be some friction. You might need to wait a few months. You might need to sell it you might need to find the right buyer and sell it at the right time. Me as a collector, that doesn't bother me at all. But it is something to be conscientious of. If I own a card that I would need to send to auction or deliver to a broker and expect that it's going to take a few weeks or months to be able to sell, it is something worth being conscientious of.
Is a flaw of this bullet point here, Chris, I think it's a fact that there are really no illiquid cards in the hobby. Like you can get out of anything nowadays. I mean, except for the cards that are so cheap, people don't want to pay shipping on them, sort of thing. But I mean, what card is really illiquid? And I'm not saying that this bullet point doesn't have merit. It does, especially for a thought exercise like what we're doing. But I'm trying to think of like any card that is hard to sell. I can't think of any card that's really hard to sell. Go ahead, David Novak.
So first thing that comes to mind to me in my perspective is the one of ones. Those are cards that you may need to do a little work to find a buyer. Maybe not. It depends. Like a lot of people want to buy cards where there's like an established value, but when you get to cards where it's never appeared, it just was graded for the first time, and you found out that's authenticated. To me, it's like the most illiquid cards in the market are the one of ones at times, because it's just, you can't really, the value is just hard to argue to, have the buyer and seller meet on a price. It can be hard, I should say.
Yeah. The only thing with that, David, is I don't think that makes it illiquid. I think it makes it illiquid at your asking price, which is a different thing, because you can just post it for 99 cents and let it ride, and it's going to sell, which makes it liquid. It might mean you take a loss or you don't like what you get for it, but it doesn't. So that's why I come back to this. It's kind of like a bit of a flawed bullet point, or not flawed, but maybe it just doesn't have as much merit as the other four on this list do. Makes for good conversation, but But I think the second part of it, where it says because ownership itself is part of the reward, isn't it like most of the reward? Isn't most of the reward owning these cars? Like I was saying before, even though I don't have them in hand yet, I did that deal on the phone last night. I already feel like I have some reward. I feel rewarded by taking ownership of the car, having title to those cards. So yeah, that part certainly resonates with me. The first part, I just can't seem to get over this the use of the term hard to sell tomorrow. The other thing is that in the world of like art, especially, the fine art, you're not getting into any painting for, under $1 million probably. I know there are cheaper artists out there, but it's maybe it is more applicable, this particular bullet point, to the world of art, much more applicable to the world of art than it is to the world of sports cards. But who, Josh Adams, Chris, or Joe, have anything you want to add to the discussion? Sorry, was that you, Joe?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with what you said, Jaylee. I think it's sort of like not so much illiquid or getting out of something, but maybe at even a reasonable fraction of what you paid for it. You could throw the caveat in there. But I was attracted to the part of the ownership is the thing, which, similar to what David said, it kind of does lead me to the consideration of cards that are so hard to acquire that you feel really good about owning them, and that a one of one is a very surefire way to know that you have a card that nobody else has. And I think there can be, I've experienced recently, as I've started to go into the one of one game, a lot of satisfaction knowing that I own a particular card and it is the only copy in existence, and it just kind of puts a bounce in your step. As a collector, I'd say you should try it. If you haven't tried it, you should try it.
You know what's interesting about that, Joe? And you're talking about a one of one, a card like that. I sort of have that same phenomena, I don't know, about specific copies of cards that I own. It's like, that's my copy. No one else can own that. It's not a one-on-one, what you're saying, which is the same. It's different, but I have a similar like emotional response to owning my certain copy, being very proud of my copy of a card, because of when I found it, how I bought it, the price I paid for it, the way it looks, the way it fits me as a collector, the way it becomes part of my hobby identity, sort of thing. So this is not at all disagreeing with what you're saying. It's just like taking it to another level in a way.
Absolutely. I mean, like, I think about your Joe Jackson. I mean, that is a singular card, even though there are other Joe Jacksons that exist. So I very fair point, and well taken.
And then in the modern world where you have memorabilia cards, different patches are different, so it can apply there as well. But yeah, the one-on-one is a special case. Anyone else have anything on this topic? No, David's good. Josh, you're good. Chris, anything to really, if you want to wrap up the whole discussion now, you're welcome to.
Yeah, I find it to be, I don't know. I guess like the final question that I have that would put a bow on this is, having taken this pretty careful walk through, probably like if you had an art collector, I would love to have an art collector maybe one day join us, actually, just to see how they feel about all the things that we say, and then we can ask them questions too. But like, I think if you ask like a mature art collector or a stock market investor, they would both say we're just grazing the surface and we're missing all the subtleties and the nuances of what they do. But granting that what we've gone through here, I think it just really places sports card collecting, somewhere in between the two, in a really interesting way. And I'm going to continue to be looking into like, what can we learn from these other things that are to some degree or another adjacent to what we do. Like real estate might be an interesting comparison point for some time too.
Well, we recently had on the ticket collector, and what was the other one we did? We did the tickets, and we did what was the other one we did? It's just I'm blanking right now. We had the ticket collector on, and we had one other. Oh, the coin. Right. We had the ancient coin collector on. Like you said, similar to what you're saying, Chris. These guys have other look. They look at their collectibles, and I just wanted to see what we could learn from them about what we're doing. So, okay, I'm going to run through some comments here, guys. Skeppy here said, the more I listened to David Novak, I liked his perspective. Maybe not agree entirely, but really good responses. Very nice, Skeppy. Yelia says, I collect the art that moves me. The same is true of sports cards I collect. Perfect. Jesse, Double O's card guy, says, I live with my cards. I display them proudly. I know you're the kind of guy that does that. I love it, Jesse. Mr. Sub says, all my cards are on display. Hockey cards are definitely a true form of art. And I think by hockey cards, I'll say I think we're talking about sports cards in general. Collector for Life says, I hope the slides will be available online after the class. Michael Rader says, I agree. Live with means attachment to that item. Area 51 says, the real question is, how much would a sculpture Jeremy Lee go for? Not very much, Area 51. Foulball says, I could build a house with my cards if needed. That's how I identify. See, even Foulball has a hobby identity. He goes on to say, needs or wants are two different things. Nobody needs cards. Well, I think that is a true statement. I think there are some people that might need cards for mental health. I think some people who cards are their life. Like there are lonely people out there. There are who are very introverted, probably don't even leave their, maybe some of them are watching the show tonight. And to people like that, I say that, if cards are something that bring you joy in life, and maybe you don't have a family, maybe you don't have a pet, maybe you have a job you don't like, I think people like that do need cards. And I think that's okay. I think it's okay but it's an extreme situation. I'm not trying to argue with foul ball here. I'm just thinking of a plausible, explanation to where it could be untrue. Jim Define here says, I kind of view money as a tool that we need to obtain meaningful things in our life. Collecting for profit would ruin the enjoyment for me, and enjoyment is the value for me. Yeah, I hear you, Jim. And I think that's a great approach. Chris C says, I collect first for the joy. If profit comes years ahead, then that's simply an added bonus, but not the end all be all. Yeah, I think that's a great way to approach it. I think many of us, at least on this show and in this chat, approach it that way. But I think that there are different levels of it for sure. Skeppy says, so wrapping this all together, can a big card lessen the need for accumulation? He says, I think so. We are behind in comments, but yeah, that makes sense to me. Can a big card lessen the need for accumulation? That's actually a more interesting question than it just reads, because as I apply it to myself, I'll get one sec, David, I'll get you. As I apply it to myself, I think that I go back to the Joe Jackson maneuver. I did reduce my accumulation for one card. One big card lessened that accumulation. It didn't lessen the need for it. It forced it for me. So I don't know, Skeppy, maybe, but I don't know if that gets into my head. I need to think about it more. Yeah, David, go ahead. Oh, sorry, David. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. So you basically nailed it out the park. I just was basically going to say, you choosing to get that big card will remove smaller cards off of your list that you may want or may have to get that big card, perhaps. That's how I look at it. A big card can lessen the need. Basically, it quenches the thirst to keep going for more, in my opinion.
Chris, Chris, I thought you were leaning in. Anyone else? No? Okay.
Great point.
I would say it does. I think so too.
And that's from experience, right, Joe? You're not speculating. You're saying this worked for me in certain cases.
Yeah, once in bringing in a card that feels sort of like a dream card, I can revel in that experience long enough where the other cards, the little, 5 and 10, I don't even know how to describe them. But it could be 50, 100, but they just don't. It doesn't mean as much. That's kind of how I.
Yeah, it's kind of like once you level up, let's say, the lower levels may not be as meaningful. However, I've leveled up, but I still I still buy cards for $8 to $10. Like I do. So Chris C here says, I won't consolidate to buy one card because the cards I have now all have a purpose or a theme. Top loader, binder, projects, etc. There is a purpose. So what I'll say to this, Chris, as an experienced collector, this holds true to me. What you're saying here holds true. However, themes and purposes can shift over time where you can abandon a purpose, you can abandon a theme. You can fall out of love with a theme or a purpose. And then those cards, they still might have a purpose, but you're not as attached to it. And that's when those cards can go into limbo and maybe as far as going into your trader box. So that just comes with, but maybe not. Is it at the same time? Maybe not. But for me, that's how that goes. Eric, those back pages says Project 20 is Jay. He's talking about cards that are illiquid. Project 2020. I think I could sell them for $1 a pop, though. Eric, I think I could. Chris C says 1991 Fleer is hard to sell. Okay, fair. And Skeppy says if you drop your cards in liquid, they can quickly become illiquid. Very Bob Boozleish of you. Very Mookie Chilson of you there, Skeppy. I like that. And then for some final comments coming in on the chat tonight. Jim Define says money without meaning is less valuable. Okay, yeah, I agree with that. Jesse says if we treat cards like art, then restoration is A-okay. Oh, we're not going there right now. Funny enough, we didn't even get to the topic in tonight's title that says altered cards and collections. And that was another David topic that we'll have to do another time. Eric says, I miss the constant flow of mail days, but I try to get used to it. And that's about it. Okay, guys, listen, we're good to wrap up, I think. Are we not? We're good to wrap up. So, David Novak, I just want any final comments from you, your first time on the show, anything you'd like to mention before we say goodbye to the whole show?
Well, Jeremy, it was a great honor and a great privilege to be on this great panel with a lot of great hobby thinkers. I hope I can come back on again in the near future. It was great to be with everybody. I really appreciate the chat contributing. It was a great time, and I definitely want to come back next time I'm invited. I hope, of course. I appreciate everybody here, and yeah, it was great. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the kind words. The honor, the privilege. Listen, we and I am happy to have you here. You listen. If you're a collector, you're a hobbyist, you have thoughts. You're easy to talk to. So thanks for coming on. Thank you for coming on. It's been an honor to have you here. Even Skeppy said, not even, but Skeppy said, this was a great show. I'd like to see David back sometime for sure. So there you go. Even chat representation is asking to have you back. And we have topics we need. We'll get you back here, David. Will you be at the National?
I unfortunately will not be. I have some vacations planned, and I have a certain amount of paid time off to use. So it's a little complicated, but I guarantee next year I will be, because I want to meet everybody in the community and try to join, get involved more in making content and stuff.
As you should. Michael Rader says, great show. Really enjoyed David Novak's input. Thank you, Michael. And Laura says, great show this evening, Jeremy. Happy Father's Day. Yeah, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. It's already Father's Day to many of you guys out there. Chris, Josh, and Joe, any final comments from you guys as we wrap this one up? We're good? No? Joe, you want some final words of wisdom for the chat?
Well, I just think the dichotomy that Chris introduced just plays quite nicely to the hobby spectrum. I really appreciated David's contributions and his willingness to be sort of transparent about what makes him tick. And I learned some stuff. And I wish, if he doesn't already have a massive Emmitt Smith card, I think an Emmitt Smith card is in your future.
I can see that too. Absolutely. Skeppy wishing everyone happy Father's Day. Jim Define says, welcome one, welcome all. Jesse says, and as usual, great show, guys. Thanks for enhancing the hobby. Appreciate the comment, Jesse. As always, Bill Betts, good night to you. Thank you, Tony Conti. Happy Father's Day. Area 51 says, Jeremy Lee decides on who he will let back on the show on how they say over at the end of the show. Hey, Area 51 knows what's going on here, guys. I will be back here on the channel tomorrow night for the Fanatics Collect weekly auction ending watch party. I will be back again on Monday with Dan Bliss, the founder and president, I believe, of the Front Row Card Show for From the Front Row. We're going to be bringing on Brian Marcy from Scottsdale Cards as sort of his guest. Josh, you know Brian? Tell us what do you have to say?
I know him very well. He's known for like 25 years. He's great. He has a great shop in Scottsdale. I've seen him at the National every year. Brian's awesome.
Well, he's going to be our guest. Yeah, he'll be on the channel with me and Dan Bliss, who's running one of the, I think the biggest card show circuit in the hobby. That's on Monday, and then don't forget Thursday at 5:00 Eastern is the inaugural episode of The Hunt, only on Fanatics Collect. You can watch that on their website, fanatics.live, or on the app. There is a link pinned to the top of this chat. Please click that. Go get your account at Fanatics. There's cost nothing to watch the content over there, but I'd be grateful for the support. And great stuff. All right, guys, this was a great show. Tons of fun. Amazing chat tonight, as always. Thank you to the chat for coming out. Thank you to our special guest, David Novak. Thank you to David Chase for making a short but tidy appearance during his vacation in Hawaii. And with that, we're going to start with you, David Novak. We'll start with Chris Hoge, then David Novak, and then I'll point. And with that, here on June the 20th, 2026, this episode of Sports Cards Live is now over. And with that, good night, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in and being a part of the Sports Cards Live community. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and most of all, keep collecting. More great content to come. Sports Cards is a lifestyle.